I've been telling you one of my favorite times of the year, 4th of July. I just absolutely love the 4th of July, man. I really do. Fireworks and food, right? Fireworks and food. You get fireworks here anyway with all of you, and we appreciate all of you coming aboard here each and every single day. So many other options are out there. We appreciate you guys. Can't tell you enough. I know, like I just said, there's so many places that you can go, but you're so loyal to the program. We try to get 200 likes and up each and every single show. We're grateful on anything you give us. Thank you so much. And remember something. You know, I don't think I say this enough to you. We're talking sports. That's the beautiful thing here. We're talking sports, guys. Please hit the like button. It's a crazy time. You come here for sports and get away from some of the things that we're watching on the political landscape, right? I'm not going to, again, alienating people with my takes in sports is one thing. Alienating you when it comes to our politics, why would I do that? Hey, if I make a comment about your favorite sports team and you don't like it, that's one thing. You stink. You're wrong, and I'll show you. That's the good part of it, right? I love it. 3 weeks out from the start of training camp. I mean, I can't wait. I just can't wait to see how this thing all plays out here. All right. I traditionally don't do this, but I have to say this. Please. And I know my aunt, and by the way, I gotta put a little asterisk on this. My cousin does great things for youth soccer. He does great things for youth soccer, and I think there's a lot of great programs in this country. I really do. But it's a shame that it ends there because our United States national team is awful. It's no different than it was 20 years ago. You get beaten Copa America. You get disgraced in it. Hey, the refs sucked. Okay. But at the end of the day, stop telling me that soccer's growing in America. It's not. Our U.S. men's national team is terrible. It's like rooting for NC State. You know why Americans don't like our U.S. national men's soccer team? Because they suck. Nobody in America roots for 500. And that's what it is. You keep telling me that it's growing and it's good. Stop it. You're lying. One, I can't name one guy on the team. Secondly, every time I try to tune something in, because I can't wait for the Olympics at the end of the month. I like the Olympics. You know, national pride. I like that stuff representing your country. Our U.S. men's soccer team blows out loud. And I keep having people tell me that sport is a growing sport in this country. No, it's not. Because you know what happens? Once you leave like my cousin's level, okay, and you have to go into some of these clubs like Landon Donovan told me, it just dissipates with talent. We don't have the talent. The coaching, we don't have anything. M. Reyes is right. The soccer system in the United States is drastically different than any other country. The approach at the youth level is play because you want, not necessarily play to be the best. He's dead on. That's exactly what Landon Donovan said to me. Okay? And I love cannolis. Soccer's boring. Soccer, when you watch the Premier League, that doesn't suck. That doesn't suck. It's pretty talented stuff when you're watching it. Or the World Cup. That's pretty decent stuff. I watch World Cup soccer. Don't know anything about it. But I saw Argentina win it. I was pretty impressed with it. I'm fans of Messi now because he's down in Miami. Man, soccer's enormous around the world. Not in this country. In this country, it's football. American football. In Europe, it's football, but soccer. Crazy. Shields, do you think we are winning our last meeting with Dallas when we wore our Kelly Greens? I love those Kelly Greens, man. You're the GOAT. Thank you so much. Some black ninja. I love that. Thank you very much. Hey, your Kelly Greens. And Bert, I got to tell you too, Ninja, that logo on the helmet, the eagle feathers on the helmet, one of my favorite logos in the NFL. If I had to pick my favorite helmet in the NFL, what would it be? Man, I like that Steeler logo. I like the Bears. I like the Giants. I like the Birds. You know, maybe it's the Chargers. It's the Chargers. God, that Packer one was awful good too, man. There's so many good helmets and so many great lids in the NFL. Love it, man. America is into football while Europeans love soccer. Absolutely, which they call football. Caribbeans are passionate about cricket. It's a great call, dude. And Caribbean also, too, very passionate about track and field. This country, man, once you get past the high school level, soccer starts to dissipate, man. Nobody plays it. Can you imagine if Michael Jordan or LeBron James or a guy like A.J. Brown was on the U.S. men's soccer team? How that thing would look if those guys had focused their all their focus on being a soccer guy? Can you imagine what that thing would look like? Okay. Hey, JM, the old Oiler helmet with the oil derrick, that was boss, the Houston Oilers. I do like it. Americans hate soccer because they've never sat in the stands for a Colombia or Brazil soccer fans game. Hey, Mike, you're right, because those are talented teams. We don't have a talented team. That's my point. I think people would sit in the stands if they saw a talented team. I mean, look at what Caitlin Clark is doing for the WNBA. If they had something like that on the men's U.S. soccer team, hey, no disrespect to the U.S. women, because the U.S. women have taken the baton, and they are U.S. soccer. The women are accomplished. They are exceptionally accomplished. The things that they've done. U.S. men, they put all the money there, pay all the guys the money, and they do nothing. It's terrible. The old Buccaneer helmet. I do like that lid too, dude. Hey, I got to start the program out because I heard Xander say something. And I had to look it up to be sure. Okay? I had to look it up. Where would you guys rank the Philadelphia Eagles' offensive skill set, talent? And as Lane Johnson would say, where would you rank the Eagles' offensive huddle compared to the rest of the league, top 10? Where would you rank them? Sills, what's your favorite jersey? Man, I like that Chicago Blackhawks jersey, Cosmo. I love that Blackhawks jersey. I love the Canadians, too. I do dig the Flyers. Bob says number 1, top 5. Top 3 says spin. Ninja says top 5. Top 1, biggest. Okay. So here's NFL.com. Let's go from 10 up. Indianapolis. Okay, they got a new player back there, Jonathan Taylor. They got Pittman, the quarterback. They got a really good old line. They added another receiver on the other side. That thing could be really good. Number 9, Houston. Totally true. Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, that back from Florida. He's pretty good. Now they got Joe Mixon, and they got C.J. Stroud. Number 8, the Buffalo Bills. Like, the Buffalo Bills, can you name one offensive player outside of Josh Allen? Can you name one player from the Bills outside of Josh Allen and that Buffalo offense? I'm going to tell you what I think this comes down to. Kincaid, the tight end. Thank you. CZ, the tight end. Right on. Kincaid. Looks like he's a player, right? I think that kid was from Utah or something like that. Dalton Kincaid, right, Kyle? I think he's like a Utah Ute or something like that. Right? Daniel, thanks for coming aboard, my friend. Number 7, Green Bay. Young wide receivers. They just added Josh Jacobs. They added Jordan Love, right? Okay. Number 6, Miami. Sure, Jalen Waddle. The running game, Tyreek Hill. Tua led the NFL in passing yards last year. Sure. Okay. I still think it's a little finesse for me. And I think they get pushed around by more dominant teams. Number 5, Cincinnati. Okay. Right? Jamar Chase. T. Higgins. Improving offensive line. And, of course, Joe Burrow. Okay. Number 4, the Rams. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford. Plus, you got to add in Sean McVay being the play caller. Okay. Number 3, the Detroit Lions. It's a good-looking group. The running back tandem looks good. Wide receivers look good. We'll see what Jameson Williams does this year. Tight end was a find for them. The quarterback, Jared Goff, just got a contract extension. I think he's the second highest paid quarterback in the league now. Kansas City, number 2. Really? Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. All right. Good O-line. Very good O-line, actually. And Andy Reid, I get it. Number 1 is San Francisco. Okay, so this author, his name is Gennaro Felice from NFL.com. There's no Baltimore, and there's no Philadelphia in this top 10. San Francisco, by the way, is number 1. So there's no Baltimore, and there's no Philadelphia. You know what he's doing here? He's doing the same shit that I tell you. Can't win with that style of play at quarterback if you're going to be a Super Bowl true contender. Here's a guy that's going down my line. I would put Baltimore, like Indianapolis over Philly? No. Okay, here's my take. And by the way, it is on paper. And you didn't win a lot of games last year at the end of the year. Okay? And Ninja clickbait, yeah, because they know people would probably have a bitch about that. Okay, fair enough. But I would say Philadelphia's offensive personnel versus Indianapolis's. Dude, no way. The O-line itself, by the way, you know, I heard the guys talking about, and I heard Big Bill say that the team could be better in the O-line than a year ago. And I think I heard Xander even say that. Xander will join us at 3:30, by the way. I don't want you to compare the Philadelphia Eagles to 2023. I want you to compare them to the last time you went to the Super Bowl. And you'll never be in the same room with that 2022 O-line. They were younger, and you were great across the board, all 5 guys. You're not great across the board like that. And you're not going to be great across the board like that this year. So whatever you say about your 24 team, you want to compare it to the 23, that's one thing. I've been comparing you to 22 because that's the best you've looked in the last 2 years. Comparing you to 23 is ridiculous. That's not the benchmark. The benchmark's getting back to that game, isn't it? Dude, you had Malata, you had Dickerson, you had Kelsey, you had Isaac Seumalo, and you had Lane, and they were younger. How are you better than that team? You're not. That group that you have going into 24 is not even remotely close to that team when it comes to the O-line. Not even close. That was just 2 years ago. You want to compare it to a team that had a nuclear meltdown last year? That's your deal, not me. I'm comparing you to when you were playing your best ball, not your shittiest ball. You see, that's the difference with me. I look for your benchmark. I told you this 2 years ago. That football team in 22, Jalen Hurts may never have a football team that good in his entire time in Philadelphia ever again. That's one of the best rosters I've ever seen on both sides of the ball. Deep, talented. What was the big key in 22 that made that team so special? You guys have an idea what made that 22 team so special? What was the one significant thing that was one of the most remarkable things in 2022? Not a lot of takes here. Tell me what it is. What was the one thing that made that team remarkable? I'm talking the 53. No, not the RPO. You know what it was? The team that you had in September 8th when you started the season, and then the team you had February 14th in the Super Bowl, you had the same starters in it. Everybody that started the season played in that game. Remarkable. It was one of the greatest things I ever saw. You were deep. You were good. You were balanced. Deepest roster I've seen in years. And that includes the Niner team of a year ago. Okay? Good and deep. That's the key to winning in this league right now. You'll never be that good. That old line right now you have has great potential. Potential, once again, is something we say that you haven't done it yet. That group you had, that starting five, every one of those guys are enormous players in the league today. Isaac Seumalo's a fixture now in Pittsburgh. Kelsey's a Hall of Fame guy. 2 years ago, he was exceptional in 22. The whole team, the play calling was great. Jalen Hurts will never play on a roster that good again. They will never play on a roster that good again. By the way, you guys may hear some noise today. We're working on my shitter, so if you happen to hear some noise, while we're going through the show here at the same time here, so you may actually hear some people coming in and out, so hopefully that doesn't become a problem for you here. But here, let me do this here for you, and let me say this here. Let me go through this top 10 here. Indianapolis, top 10. Are the Eagles, do they have a better roster than the Indianapolis Colts? Yes. Do you think you have a better offensive group than Houston? Nico Collins is not A.J. Brown. Stephon Diggs is better than Devontae Smith. So is that a push? Devontae Smith is not better than Stephon Diggs. He's not. He's not a better player than Diggs. He's not. But by the way, not by a lot. Like, not by a lot. Not by a lot. Mixon had a better year a year ago than what Barkley did. Football team lost their quarterback, Joe Burrow. I think he still had $1,000 last year. Lord goes, your opinion, Sills. No. The production speaks to it. And he's a number 2. Diggs has been paid and has played as a number 1 his entire career. Devontae's never. Oh, except for 20. No, he wasn't a number 1, I don't think, in 21. They tried to use him as that, and it wasn't very effective. But he was a rookie, to be fair. Okay, Lord, you take Devontae, I'll take Diggs today. We're talking today. We're not talking about 3 years from now. Okay? Smitty's better. Imagine him with Rodgers at quarterback. Gee, don't you like the guy that you're playing with right now? So let's go here. Are you trying to tell me that the Buffalo Bills have a better offense than the Philadelphia Eagles? No way. And I'm going to tell you what I think has happened here. Do I think the Green Bay Packers have a better offense than the Philadelphia Eagles? No, I don't. Do I think the Miami Dolphins have a better offense than the Philadelphia Eagles? No, I don't. Do I think that the Cincinnati Bengals at 5 have a better offense than the Philadelphia Eagles? No, I don't. Do I think the Rams have a better offense than the Philadelphia Eagles? No, I don't. Do I think that the Detroit Lions have a better offense than the Philadelphia Eagles? I do. They got a better O-line than you. Their quarterback is exceptionally accomplished. He's underrated. Do I think Kansas City has a better offense than you? No, I don't. Do I think San Francisco has a better offense than you? I do. At worst, as an offensive group, the Eagles are third. Not in the top 10. But let's do what Charlie's doing here. Do the Indianapolis Colts have a better quarterback than the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts? I don't know how you can say yes. I mean, the guy played 4 games. Does it look like he's got talent and there's massive upside? Does he look like he can run that RPO? By the way, they're going to run the RPO in Indy. And it would not shock me if Anthony Richardson had a better year than Hurts this year. Okay? 50% in college. JM, that was one of the reasons that I was not high on Anthony Richardson. And I agree, Charlie, yet to be seen. How could you give that nod to Anthony Richardson? I'm not. Number 9. C.J. Stroud, a better quarterback than Hurts. If I was picking the team and building a team, I'm not picking Hurts over Stroud. So Houston's got a better quarterback. Buffalo, we debate this all the time. I am not having Jalen Hurts and picking him over Josh Allen. Nobody in their mind would. Number 7, Jordan Love. Would you take Jordan Love to start your team over Hurts? No way. Here's a close one. Tagovailoa, Miami, 6. I'd probably take Hurts over Tua, even though Tua is more accurate and throws for a ton more yards. There just seems to be something finesse about the guy. And plus, Jalen can do more when allowed to do more. Better than Burrow? Not even remotely close. It's a stupid conversation. Is he better than Stafford? No. Is he better than Goff? That's a tough one with Goff. Jalen's a better athlete, but he's not a better quarterback. Goff's done more. He's been in the league longer. See, when you go against these guys, by the way, there's no Dallas Cowboys in this list either. So there's no Cowboys, no Ravens, no Eagles. Now, could that be by design, like some of you say, when you go like this, that's clickbait? So and I don't believe that the Cowboys do have a good offense. I just don't. I mean, Goff is funny. Throws for 4,500 yards every year, 30 touchdowns. He's been to a Super Bowl himself. He's been to 2 conference title games with 2 different teams. He's got a above 500 big-time win percentage. I mean, the guy's really accomplished. He's a lot like Brady. And when it comes to, like, when you look at Jalen Hurts and Jared Goff, you would say this. Well, Hurts is the better, like, quarterback athlete. Like Aaron Rodgers is the better quarterback athlete to Brady. But Goff wins. I never thought much of him. He's better than Dak. Would we not agree with that? You think Jared Goff's a better quarterback than Dak Prescott? He's more reliable. Wouldn't you, if you had to look at 2 guys, Dak Prescott and Jared Goff, Would you say Jared Goff is a better quarterback than Dak? How crazy is that? And he was traded because they wanted to upgrade. Right? Jared Goff's a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. That's crazy to say. But people look at Dak and go, well, this guy's really put up. Yeah, but Goff's done more. He's won more. Dude, this guy has won more in Detroit than Stafford did. Okay? He's won more in Detroit than what Matthew Stafford did. Kansas City, not going to debate that. San Francisco, I think actually Brock Purdy does a better job with his offensive people than what Hurts does. He throws the tight ends. He throws the backs. He throws to both receivers. Jalen throws to two people. Okay? He spreads the ball around better. He's a better passer, and he utilizes his talent more than Hurts does. Jalen doesn't really utilize anybody else in the passing game but the two wide receivers. At times, the tight end. Never throws the backs. And McCaffrey is a major cog in that whole thing on how they run that offense. So, end of the day, he spreads it around more. This comes down to this on how NFL.com's looking at Hurts. There's not a lot of respect for Jalen. I have more respect for that. I think they're top 3 offense. Personnel-wise, coordinators are going to have to put them all in place. Quarterback's going to have to perform. Like Lane said, on paper, I think they're the 3rd best offensive group in the league. I do not think Indianapolis is better. I do not think Buffalo's better. Shit, I don't think Kansas City's offensive personnel is better than you guys. I do not believe that. Okay? This comes down to the lack of confidence in the quarterback. That's what this comes down to. And a lot of people are like that guy, Gennaro Felice from NFL.com, who look at Lamar Jackson like that. Okay? That's why your boy, who you swear by in LA, got rid of Goff because Goff can't win big games. Well, Jared Goff got to a Super Bowl himself. Jared Goff got to another NFC title game. Your guy got blown out by the Bucs. Your guy throws for 4,500 yards, Jared Goff. Throws for 30 touchdowns. Your guy can't throw for more than 22 touchdowns and 3,800 yards. We're going to talk about that too. By the way, that's a great one, Kimberly. Brock Purdy can read defenses 10 times better than anything Hurts can. Sills, how close do you think the gap is between Philly and Detroit? Like if you put that, hey, Kyle, I would take the home team in that game. I would take the home team. And maybe the special teams, your kicker, might be the difference in that Detroit game. I think Detroit and Philadelphia are the same. I think they're better on defense than you. I think Aiden Hutchinson, you don't have anybody on that defensive line like him. And that kid Campbell that plays inside linebacker, you don't have anybody like that. And I think the kid, Teron Arnold, the kid from Alabama, we're going to get to that here in a minute. I think he was the pick. Steels, would you pick having offensive problems over defensive problems? It's a great question. That's a great question. People, what do you think of this one here? See, I think you got to get off the field. I think you got to get off the field. I think you just got to get off the field. So I'd rather have offensive issues. Eagles, get this. The Eagles were 8th in offense last year, won 11 games, and they had issues. Okay? Your defense was 31st in pass defense, and you couldn't get off the field. What looked worse? That's another one. What side of the ball looked worse last year? It was clearly the defense. So I'd rather have offensive issues, especially when I'm being able to be multitasking where I can run the ball or throw the ball, and they can do both. I do not believe the Dallas Cowboys can do both if they get in trouble or any kind of trouble. Eagles last year did not consistently call running plays that helped. Always a shotgun halfback dive, and they ended up getting stuff. Pittsburgh and Cleveland both made the playoffs with extreme offensive issues. Yeah, especially at the quarterback position for both. Yeah. Give me DJ Reader and McNeil over Carter and Jordan Davis. I tell you what, that Detroit team is going to be awful good. And you got Hutchinson, who reminds me a lot of Howie Long. He's an effort guy. Okay. I put a list together here. And these are the 2020. I heard that. Who was it? I think it was Bill Colarulo and John and Xander talking about this. So I expanded it. You know, there are a lot of gambles this year. And I think some of you don't think that do you think that this football team has a lot of gambles that Howie made this year? Do you think there's a lot of gambles that they made this year? 22, there was no gamble. You had veterans. It was a hell of a roster constructed. Okay? There's a lot of gambling that went on. Am I right? Please hit the like button, guys. Here. I wrote down 10 gambles that you have to have come through for your football team to have success. This is post minicamp and pre-training camp. There you go, JM. That's my number one. Does Huff equal Reddick? And for me, right now, pre-camp, my take on it, I do not believe that Bryce Huff equals Hassan Reddick. I might be wrong. Howie went and gambled. And these are gambles I wouldn't have taken. Huff equals Reddick. Where do you see that? Reddick's a better player. I'm not trying to win a Super Bowl 3 years from now. I'm trying to win a Super Bowl today. It's risky. That's a gamble. Okay? James goes, Huff at some point. Correct. But after coming off a year like what you did in 23, you're gambling by moving your best pass rusher off the team. That's a gamble. That's a gamble. Right? Barkley, is he an upgrade? Can he stay healthy? $10 million. Do you think that's a gamble? Yes or no? You think that's a gamble? See, for me, I think that's a gamble, and I don't think he's going to be I don't think he's going to be both. I don't think he's going to either be healthy, and I don't think it's an upgrade. They're not going to throw the ball to him. And will he be healthy? Spike says Barkley will get 1,800 yards. I don't believe he'll get over 1,200 yards. That's not what they do in Philly. He's not going to get the ball 300 times. Plus, for him to get 1,800 yards, he's got to get the ball 310, 320. They're not handing him the ball 320 times. Because if that's the case, Nick Sirianni is going to be in the owner's box on a Monday talking with Howie why they're running the ball with two $50 million wide receivers. That ain't happening. That is not happening. 250 touches puts him around 1,300 yards. Okay? Dan, would we do better with Pickett? No. No. It's a gamble every season, though, Sills. It's football. Well, you got a ton of them, though. You just don't have 4. What's the gamble in Kansas City? Tell me what their gamble is. Moving off of Snead? Sure. Matarizza? Okay. All right. What else? What else? What's the gamble in Houston? Okay. Staying healthy is not a gamble. That's luck. That's luck, Prince. Making a move by jettisoning Hassan Reddick for Bryce Huff is a gamble. Whether your quarterback stays healthy or not has nothing to do with a gamble. Nothing. Number 3, will Devin White return to all-pro form that he had in year 2? I'll tell you what I'm liking. He likes playing for Vic. Vic's taking a shine to him. He's had a good mini camp. He had a good OTA offseason. He's had a good offseason. My problem with him, though, is it's mental. So does this guy go in the tank, the sign of bad news? Or if the team's not playing well, or he ends up getting taken out of a game, does he go south on me? He did in Tampa. They benched him. Number 4. These are Eagle gambles in 24 that you're going into training camp with. Cam Jurgens replaces Jason Kelsey. You going to pick up blitzes? Are you setting the blocking assignments? Okay. I want to see that. You think this guy's going to have the knowledge of playing the center position in the National Football League with the complex defenses? And he's never played center outside of some exhibition snaps? Let's see how that works. Hey, Jalix Hunt, a gamble? He won't see the field. It's not a gamble. That's a draft gamble you worry about when he gets on the field. I'm talking about people who actually are going to play and are going to be part of this thing. That kid's not going to play. How about this one? Number 5. Does Jalen Hurts return to 2022 form? Does he return back? You gambled by giving him that contract. So far as I'm concerned, that contract you gave him is a gamble. It's a gamble. When I watch him play, do I see Lamar Jackson? Lamar does it a little better. Jalen looks a little smoother. Lamar's more like a power guy. Okay? I don't think either guy's winning a Super Bowl. Number 6. Nolan Smith, stud or dud. Drafted him 31st. What is he? What is he? Stud or dud? By the way, I don't have Nakobe Dean on here. He's a non-factor any longer. I hate to do this to you, and I hate to do it to the kid. Until otherwise notified, Nakobe Dean has no bearing in my Philadelphia Eagles sports takes moving forward. He's a non-essential personnel piece on that roster right now. He's a non-factor. So you don't have to worry about me asking that question. He is a non-factor. I don't really have any other comment on him. I've said it all. Until he proves otherwise, there's no more debating him. I've made my statement on him. He can never stay healthy, and he's not good enough. Until he shows me and the Eagles, that's where we are now on July 2nd with him, going into camp. I don't care how many times you put him on a starting roster or in the depth chart. He's a dud. And you know it. Is Nolan Smith a stud or dud? Which way am I leaning now? He looks like a draft reach. Like right now, if you put Nolan Smith in the NFL draft, he's a fourth rounder. You couldn't get a first, second, third rounder back for him. Nobody on the planet would give you that. Unless the Eagles are using him wrong, like Arizona used Hassan Reddick wrong. And that was a fact. Arizona and Carolina really didn't know how to use him until they wound him up and let him run into quarterbacks. So is Philadelphia using him wrong? That could be. But as far as I'm concerned, Nolan Smith is a reach. And by the end of this year, we'll know if he's a dud or a stud. He's either going to perform or he's not. No more. We're done. 31st pick in the draft. Look, dude, you're not on scholarship. You got to play now. You're a first-round draft choice. Dude, the kid, Jalix Hunt, at least was taken in a third. You give that a little time to breathe. The later the round, the more latitude you get on breathing for prospects and developing of players because they're cheaper. When you draft a guy in the first round and he doesn't splash right away, that's a problem. That's a problem. You missed on somebody probably that could have been effective in the first round on your team, and you're paying them, and you lose out on a one. Somebody says Hunt will never play. I don't know that yet. Vic saw something in him. Speaking of Vic Fangio, so I'm assuming that will look better. I don't give a shit where you drafted. Smith ain't making no bag. The later, the better. The sweeter the juice. Yeah, Reyes, like Kelsey, like Malata. Even landed Dickerson in the second round. He's a great pick. Dude, that entire offensive line that you have in 23 may not be 24, I should say. May not be 22's line. 7th rounder, 2nd rounder, 3rd rounder. Or no, 7th rounder, 2nd rounder, 2nd rounder, 3rd rounder if it's Steen, and 5th pick. You wasted one first-round draft choice on arguably one of the top 3 O-lines in the league. How many first-round draft choices have the Lions used to build that O-line? Okay? You used one first-round pick with a line that you're going into this year. That's getting it done, Jeff Stoutland. You're building an entire O-line with one first-rounder. It's pretty good, man. Dude, seconds and thirds are awesome, but not like when you're the 5th. Has Lane lived up to the 5th pick? By far. Like if you were to redraft Lane Johnson, would he be around 5? Could be 3. If you redrafted Jordan, get this, your O-line right now. If you redrafted your O-line right now, Jordan Mailata, he would be the 7th pick in the draft. If you redrafted Landon Dickerson 10th, if you did Juergens 25th, Steen, I don't know. Lane, between 3 and 5, where he was taken. This guy's all panned out. And we're underdrafted. Every one of them, including the 5th pick. That's developing. Dude, nobody in the NFL develops offensive linemen better than the Philadelphia Eagles. In the last 20 years, I've never seen anything like it. You take your hat off to that. Something that you couldn't do under the Norman Brayman era. It's in spades now. I listen to you and feel like the sky's falling. I got to go listen to Philly 500 for a little. See you later, Corbin. Have a great 4th of July. Thanks for the super chat, too, by the way. What a great offensive line. It's insane how good it looks. I mean, all guys that you developed, no organization in the National Football League, nobody produces guys and then trades for people, brings guys in like the Eagles do. Plus, I think it's got a lot to do with Howard Mudd. I think it's got a lot to do with Stoutland. I think it's got a lot to do with the owner who came in and was told that Brayman didn't want to invest in offensive linemen. They do a great job in Philly, man. By the way, I think Cam Juergens, my question is not going to be ability. It's going to be cerebral. Are you going to be able to pick up? Okay. Are you going to be able to pick up the blitzes and such? Seals, can Clint Hurt do a Stoutland on the D line? Clint Hurt is so good. You're going to love him. I'll tell you what, you want to know a guy who gets in people's asses? I'll tell you what, Jordan Davis better not be running around there fat and out of shape because he'll get his ass kicked. And when you see him coming at you, Clint Hurt doesn't put up with shit, man. They hired a bunch of no-shit guys on that defensive side of the football. Okay? They've hired a bunch of guys on that side of the ball. They don't put up with any shit, man. Clint Hurt's not a – dude, I'm going to make a point to you. Clint Hurt's not going to be on your football team very long, especially if the football team does a really great job this year and they turn that defense around. No disrespect or anything, but he'll be a defensive coordinator somewhere in the National Football League. He's too good, man. He's too good. I'm not going anywhere, big guy. I'm here every day listening. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that, man. It's all good. Hey, Jeff, some people want me to throw roses and rose petals every day. That's not what you get here with me. It hasn't been for 40 years, and it never will be. I am not a rose petal, Rob Ellis type of guy. That's not what I do. I would not be a genuine guy if I just was an ass kisser. I have never been an ass kisser. I wasn't raised by an ass kisser. Okay? I was raised by an Italian fireman fisherman who had no gray area. It was black or white, right or wrong, yes or no. There was nothing in the middle. You're either good or you're not. I wasn't raised in a waffle situation where you waffled. I don't do that. When you play pro sports, there's no fucking bell curve. Well, he's kind of good. Don't talk to me like that. It's like a golfer when you ask him his handicap. Well, I'm around a 5. No, you're either a 5 or a 10. Who are you? That's the beautiful thing about sports. Did you win or did you lose? That's it. And Jesus criminy, man. All the people in Philly and football fans around the National Football League's great nation of ours, I expect you to accept that and understand that better than anybody. This is not the political world where people move the yardsticks. You're either winning or losing in this thing. 11 wins doesn't matter. Hey, you know what? I got 200 electoral votes. So what? You lost. You either win or lose. You know who cries all the time? People who just sit there and try to make excuses for failure. It's funny. Hey, again, not to be political with you, but people go like this all the time. Hey, democracy's at stake. Well, wait. Trump won in 16. He lost in 20. The people voted. Isn't that democracy? But what happens is you start fucking crying because you don't like to lose. Give me a break. Stop your whining. There's too many fucking whiners in the world. Well, you know, I don't want. Whatever. Win, lose. Okay? Jay Brown goes, makes excuses for success. That's why I got 3 championship rings, dickbag. Ain't no excuses. You either win or you lose. Hey, man, do me a favor. Go back to your snowflake world. I'm sure you're welcome there when you guys can sit around there and wave flags of something or root on some loser. 2024, Eagle gambles. Here's another one. Number 7, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. Were they the right picks? You guys think they're the right picks? Oh, Prince, you're more like Donald Trump than ever before. Anybody I know in here. You just like to argue, no matter if it's truthful or not. Prince is more like Trump. Yeah, for me, I think Teron Arnold was the guy. We're going to find out about Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. One guy played in the greatest conference in the country against the greatest receivers in the country, in his own team, and in the conference. Okay? Cooper DeJean is a strong, independent white man. Great. I'm glad you know him well. You must sit around the tasseling and what else? Shucking corn? Congratulations to you up there in Iowa there, man. I'm glad you guys hung out there on the combine and filling up the corn silos. He's an independent, beautiful white man. Congratulations to you, dude. You guys must have did a hell of a job on the pig farm. You must know him well, dude. Hey, you drink that moonshine too? Got that still working going there? Hey, Cordo, you and him putting that mash together, right? Getting that corn syrup all spun around. Then you got that moonshine. How you doing, bro? We need more people like you. Hey, thank you, Angelo. That's awesome, man. Appreciate it. That's cool, man. Hold on here. Let me get to everything. Okay? Moonshine is fire. I've had it too, man. Whew, wow. Jerome Brown made it for me, man. You know what he did? He got that Everclear. Dude, here's one of the greatest things of all time. Okay? How about this, Cordo? So Jerome got a trash can. He got a big trash bag. He got that Everclear. I never heard of Everclear. Dude, I'm from Connecticut. Whoever heard of Everclear? I don't know what Everclear was. So he pours about 4 bottles in. He cuts these melons up. Musk melons, watermelons, throws like grapes, raspberries, bananas, all kinds of shit in here. He gets his big stick. Dude, this guy was so redneck. Brooksville is redneck. Okay? I mean, there's dudes with hoods that live in that neck of the county up there, Pasco County. So this guy's got he's got one of those churner things. And I'm like, I think I'm like in a scene from like when you watch Roots, and he's spinning this shit. And I'm going like, what are you making? And he's like, you're gonna love this. So here's Jerome moving that brown there, man. So we get these paper cups, scoops it up. He goes, here you go, Sills. I start drinking this, and my lips got on fire. I fell down after the third cup. He goes, how you doing, bro? And I was like, this shit's the best thing I've ever. This thing's the best I've ever. This thing's the best. It's the best I've ever had. Hey, man, I couldn't believe it. Greatest. Hey, this is the this. This is this. Bruh. This is the best. I never ate a piece of watermelon that got me so fucked up before. I never had anything like it. I had this in Brooksville, Florida. Oh my God. Everclear. I never heard of Everclear. Who's heard of Everclear? That jungle juice for the win. Eagle for life. That's exactly what JB called it. He called it jungle juice. He goes, have some of my jungle juice, man. And so I said, oh, come on, man. This is JB's jungle juice. And I'm like, all right, 3 cups in. I fell down. We ate crayfish all night. I woke up. My pants were down by my ankles, and some kid was playing with my feet. I don't know. Hernando County. Thank you, Real. Not Pasco. That's more to the right towards the center, towards Orlando. That's right, man. Man, that was some fun stuff, man. That was some fun stuff, man. Hey, one some of the greatest memories of all time, man. Jerome making that juice of his, man, was so good. I go, hey, you ever had Everclear? No, I never had Everclear. Well, you about ready to get your feet on fire here. Eduardo. Oh, man. Oh, man. How you doing? Fucking funny, man. Here, let me finish up. 2024 Eagle gambles that they gambled on this team. Okay? Hey, Spin. I'm glad. Hey, it was fun. It was funny. And you know what you also have to do? Remember, certain people, you know, you can talk like normal folks do. And in here, you can talk to normal folks. You don't have to worry about what you're going to say. I don't give a shit. I don't. Okay. So we started off. Does Huff equal Reddick? I don't believe so. But they gambled. Okay. And by the way, on July 2nd, I don't know. I say it's a gamble. Will Barkley be an upgrade or stay healthy? It's been an issue the last 4 years with him. Right? Okay. Will Devin White return to his all-pro status like he wasn't his second year? I don't know. Haven't seen it in 4. And he got fired. And he quit. Looks good so far. Cam Jurgens. You think he's going to replace Jason Kelce? To the level that it's not going to be a significant drop-off. How much of a drop-off is... That's a great question. How much of a drop-off do you think Cam Jurgens is going to be from Jason Kelsey? How much of a drop-off? Scale of 1 to 10. 7? What do you think? 6? What do you think? James goes big drop-off. Okay. It's going to infect the entire line. Wow. Cordell, you think 3? 5? I would hope 5 to 7. Me too, Troy. That's what I would hope. That it's not that significant. 4. Dude. 10 being the best, by the way. I didn't quantify that. So if you get a 7, okay, a 7, between 5 and 7, I'd be all right with that. Well, he's not better. I don't think anybody's going to be better than the kid. Okay? Will Hurts return to 2022 form? I don't know. We shall find out. We still don't know. Nolan Smith, stud or dud? I think he's a dud, but he's got a chance to be a stud. Hey, by the way, just so you know, here's a great example of what people talk when they say flip-flop. Let me ask you guys, what do you think Nolan Smith's time as an Eagle has been so far? What do you think? What do you think? What have you seen? First round guy can't get on the field and he can't even get in practice. What do you think he's been? His time has been a rookie. Well, I'll tell you what, I saw Jalen Carter play last year and he was awful good. And he was a first round pick too. As a matter of fact, Jordan Davis has played 10 times better, even in his rookie year, than what Nolan Smith did. I mean, you actually saw something as a player in the kid. I've seen nothing in the guy. What have you seen? He can't even get on the football. As far as I'm concerned, okay? As far as I'm concerned, we'll see what Nolan Smith does. We'll see. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeZean. Were they the right picks? That's where we stopped last time. I would have took Teron Arnold. I would have took Arnold. Was better prepared for the NFL. We shall see. He's now in Detroit. C.J. Gardner missed the entire season last year. You think he's going to duplicate 6 picks like he did a couple of years ago? Stay healthy? What do you think? Yeah, look at LJ. BS Liar, guy from Toledo, is a better player than a guy from Alabama. Or better prepared, we'll even say. Okay. Mitchell was okay. Whatever, guy. It's not. I would have took Teron Arnold. I said it. I don't care you had him ranked where the combines had him ranked. I said that. It's all good. Roll the tape, baby. Roll the tape. How you doing? Just because you're ranked higher from NFL teams doesn't mean I would take you higher. How you doing? Like your boy Jordan Davis. Right, Niner? Just because you have him ranked higher, and I did too, because the combines ranked him higher. That's not who I'd take. I'd have took the guy from Alabama. Played against elite players every week. By the way, Marvin Harrison lit his ass up. 2 TDs. Toledo, when they put a 70 spot on him. How you doing? Number 9, bringing Nick Sirianni back. You don't think that's a... Hey, you think that... What's a bigger gamble? bringing Sirianni back or Huff replacing Reddick? You think the biggest gamble on the Eagle team this year is bringing the head coach back? Do you? Do you think bringing the head coach back is the biggest gamble on the team this year? What do you think? Okay. You think that's spin says no. Suplex goes easily. Sirianni. Bring Sirianni back as a gamble sells. Damn right it is. By the way, Nick, is that you that follows me over on my Twitter page? I saw you over there the other day, I think. I saw you maybe even today over at Dan Sileo show. Thank you very much, dog. It's good. Eagles coaches mean nothing. They do what they're told. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate you following over there, man. He presided over the worst collapse in NFL history. And did you hire the right coordinators? So here are the 10 gambles the Eagles made this offseason. Huff equals Reddick? I don't see it. Will Barkley be an upgrade and a healthy? He ain't going to be both. Will Devin Wright return to all-pro status? No. Will Cam Jurgens replace Jason Kelce enough where it's not a massive drop-off? I think so. Nolan Smith, stud or dud? I think the guy's going to be a dud. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, were they the right draft picks? Find out. CJ Garner, will he stay healthy? Number 9, bringing Nick Sirianni back. And number 10, did you hire the right coordinators? Those are the 2024 Philadelphia Eagle gambles, in my opinion. Okay? Bringing Nick Sirianni back. Okay? And Nick Kotai. Too many questions for the coming season. Hey, Spin, that's another great take. You think there's too many question marks for your team to win a Super Bowl? Oh, I like this guy in here, man. Yeah, well, remember that time we were in Seattle? Sleepless. Hey, Nick was sleepless in Seattle, LJ. Remember when we were in Seattle? What we were trying to do was do a play to kind of like throw a pass and then the game. We weren't really sure. And so, I just threw something up, and we ended up doing that. Eagles missed on 2 back-to-back potential all-pro corners, Arnold and Branch, which played at Alabama together. Detroit had them both now. Okay. Remember that? Hey, remember that game there? Like this, look. Hey, man. Remember, do you remember that great play up in Seattle that we were all sitting there? Players go, that never happened. Nobody knows what the fuck he's talking about. He just made that shit up. He just made that shit up. Yeah, man, maybe, Hey, do you have the right coaches in place? We have everybody here. We love everybody. We have a new announcement to make on Friday that we've replaced Sean Desai. Dude, you just told us 3 days ago you had all the guys in the building you loved. This guy lies, man. Holy shit. This guy hasn't told the truth yet since he's been the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Nick Siri liar. They should call that guy Pinocchio. Pinocchio Sirianni. Okay? If we're playing well in December, watch out. Hey, if you are. Okay? Maybe, Sills, we got this. Oh. Lies like my wife. Come on, Mark. It's the 4th of July week, man. Pinocchiani. Holy shit, that's funny. Pinocchiani. Nick Pocchiani. Nick Pinocchiani. It really has an Italian flair to it. I like it. Hey, the greatest coach in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles, Nick Pinocchiani. Shit, man. That's too funny, dog. Nick Pinocchiani. Yeah. Okay, good. Let's say, hey, right. Sills, how good are the Eagle rushers at Ohio State? Pretty good. I like both those guys. We'll get more into that. You know, talk a little bit more college as we're getting closer because August 31st, we're getting around the corner here. I think we're like 3 Saturdays out from the start of college football. Will Purdy's arm finally hold up to Reddick? It did last year. He beat the shit out of you. It did last year. Did he not? Geppetto Roseman. Oh, man. Hey, oh, my God. Suplex. Hey, my name is Geppetto Roseman. No, I have to have an Italian. I have to have an Italian accent for Geppetto Roseman. I keep saying Marvin Harrison had 2 touchdowns against Mitchell in that game. He had 2 TDs in that game. He had 2 TDs in the Toledo game. Look the box score up, jackass. He had 119 yards. Woo, baby. How you doing? How you doing? Geppetto Roseman. Hey, man. I'm making myself the greatest coach in the history of coaches. This guy, the Nicky Pinocchiani, he's the greatest coach that I'd have ever shaped together, put the strings on him, and it's the greatest of all time. I've never in a million years, that's Geppetto Roseman. I didn't know Geppetto was a Jewish guy, but I always thought he was a paisan, but we're good. It's okay. Hey, whatever. And so, like, you know, he's, hey, so do you know that I make myself the greatest head coach of all time? You put the strings on and you kind of sit them on your lap and you tell them what to say and you tell them what to do. What are you going to do? Oh, man. Geppetto Roseman. Nick should be Biden's VP. He lies. Geppetto Roseman. Make sure. Hey, let me see here. All right. Let me go into this one here. We got Xander coming up at the bottom of the hour. Okay. Dan has assimilated, speaks Italian like a Frenchman. Yeah, well, too bad, guy. That would not be big sales. I'm speaking like an idiot, which is Roseman. That's how I think of him. Okay. Because you know what? Just let the guys do their job. You'd be a lot better off, dog. People have more respect for you if you just let coaches do their jobs. Dude, Mike Vrabel would never take that Eagle job. I'm not going to have somebody tell me what to do like that, who to hire. I'm not going to do it. You've hired 5 coordinators in 4 years. It's the most unstable job in Philadelphia. Honestly, think about it. Being a coordinator in Philadelphia is the most unstable job in Philly. You've changed out 8 coordinators. Let me see. Let me add that up. I want to double check. Because Nick was the first OC. So let's go OC. You lose Steichen, Brian Johnson. Now you have Kellen. Your DCs. Gannon, Desai, Patricia. Now you have Vic. You've had 8 different coordinators in 4 years. Yeah, no, that's a stable gig. That's a stable gig. Stable. All right. Let's move on. Geppetto Roseman. I make them so good. I carved them out of like a nice piece of wood. I just float them down into the locker room. Say this, say that, say this, say that, do this, do that, sign here, sign there, sign here, sign there. Oh, don't worry about that one, Nikki. Don't worry. We'll take care of that. You're doing bad? We'll just take you right out of the room. Geppetto Roseman. Okay. Let's go here now. All right. This has been a debate. This has been a debate here. Spin goes, the Niners are soft. Well, that didn't look that soft to me when they plastered you in Lincoln Financial. You thought that game was soft? The Eagles were soft. You really thought that was soft? What the Niners did to you? They took the whooping board out, took you out back, then took a switch and beat the shit out of you. Okay? All right. Personally, not team-wise, what will be a good year personally for Jalen Hurts? What will be a good year? What will be a good year for Jalen Hurts? What do you think? No. That's a team victory. Personally, what will be a good year for Hurts? No. Super Bowl wins or team wins. No. Personally, you're not paid on winning Super Bowls. I tell you this all the time. JM, now we're going. 4,100, 28 touchdowns, 10 picks, 600 yards. 30 TDs, $4,000. Low INTs, 26-7. To not get benched. I want to try to. No, 2022. No way. They got to be better. Okay. What's strange is how he drafted Hurts, knowing he was never had stability, and you just keep the trend with offensive coordinators going. Isn't that crazy, Jason? That's a great take. Jason, this is a great take by him. Jason, think about what this take is. What's the most significant thing about this take that Jason has? What's the most significant take about that? He was never drafted to be the frontline team quarterback on the Eagles, because that's exactly correct. You would never draft a guy giving him the same kind of bullshit he had in college with 18 different coordinators. Instead, you keep the same repetition going for the guy you draft, thinking he's going to be your main guy. They never thought he was going to be the main guy. They never thought he was. He was a safety belt drafted in the second round. They were never looking at him as the frontline guy. They never looked at him as that. Okay, they never looked at him like that. That's right. You don't keep the same bullshit that he had in college up in the pros with him. You try to rectify it. You don't change out 4 coordinators in 4 years or 3 years starting. It's stupid. Changing systems, terminology. They never in a million years, when they drafted Jalen Hurts, ever thought he'd be the starter in Philly. Ever. Never did they think that. How many people in here have waffled and flipped on that one? Oh, yeah, no, they did. Well, even though we gave the guy $38 million. Okay. 70% completion, 10 turnovers. And here's what I have. It's funny you guys say that. I wrote down 4,100 yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 picks, 66 completion percentage, 500 rushing, 6 touchdowns. I think if Jalen Hurts puts that line up, he'll be in the conversation for one of your better players in the league. Put himself back in the top 10 in quarterbacks. That'd be a great year for him. That team will win a lot of games if they do that. Okay? They'll win a lot of games. And I think that's the benchmark you should have for him, would be that. All right, let's do this one. A good year is Devontae Smith and AJ not getting tackled inside the 5, leading to way more TDs over the passes, changing people's mind. Forget the regular season stats. Leave that to Dak. Prince, once again, quarterbacks in the NFL, there's only one quarterback that's gauged in the postseason right now, and that's the guy in Kansas City. How he keeps his job moving is what he does in the regular season. Dude, the team accomplishment of going to a Super Bowl doesn't matter. Didn't matter for Garoppolo. Didn't matter for Kaepernick. Didn't matter for Jake Delhomme. It didn't matter for – it may not matter for Brock Purdy. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter for Jared Goff. He got traded. He took a team to a Super Bowl. It doesn't matter if you go. It matters if you keep your football team competitive every year. You're in the now of the NFL. Think about that. Jared Goff took a team to the Super Bowl, okay, and lost 14-7 to the Patriots, and they traded him. By the way, forget the regular season stats. Leave that to Dak. How about this one, Prince? So the greatest moment in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles was Nick Foles, right? Won a Super Bowl. You guys moved off him. Why? The Super Bowl matters so much. Why'd you move off of him? Prince, just curious. So he was Super Bowl MVP, right? You moved off of him. Why? If that mattered more than what Wentz did in the regular season, isn't that the exact thing you're saying? Isn't that exactly what you're saying? Well, Wentz had a great regular year. But Nick won the Super Bowl MVP, but you moved off him. It didn't matter to the Eagles. Why? Foles wasn't going to get you another Super Bowl? Oh, really? How do you know Jalen's going to get you to another one? How do you know? How do you know? And the guy won it, and he got moved off him. In Prince's theory, it contradicts what the Eagles did to win that Super Bowl. Wentz had the great regular season. He was 11-2, right? Second MVP. Guy gets in the Super Bowl, wins it, Super Bowl MVP, you move off him. Didn't seem to matter to the Eagles that he won the Super Bowl. Oh, Jalen. Jalen would absolutely kill to have a performance like Foles. Well, still, he played really good. No. I'm talking about a guy who wins it. Yeah. Think about that too, Sam. Good call. That not only moves off of Foles, they moved off of Doug too. Didn't matter. Doug won a Super Bowl either. That moved off of his ass too. So no matter if you go to the playoffs 3 years in a row, according to the Eagles and according to Prince, hey, you could be a coach that takes your football team to 3 playoff runs, takes your team to a Super Bowl. They'll move off your ass. How do you know that, Sills? Well, he moved off to Doug and he won the damn thing. And he was 5-2 in the postseason in Philly. Or 4-2 in the postseason. Nick's 2-3 with a loss in the Super Bowl. He's 4-2 in the postseason in Philadelphia with a win. And you still moved off of him and the quarterback that won it for you. Didn't matter to them, those two dudes. So Prince's theory and his philosophy is flawed. It's flawed. How about this one? Okay. What's a good year for Nick Sirianni? What's a good year for Nick? I actually have something here for him. What's a good year for Nick? How he can erase doubt. I'll tell you this. A lot of coaches can erase doubt. I think the guy in Tampa did, Todd Bowles, down the stretch. Erased a lot of doubt. Hey, by the way, he puts 4 playoff teams together. They make a deep run. I don't know. Xander said it yesterday. Man, how do you not look at that and go, I mean, this is what I got for him. Team shows improvement. Culture looks better. Football team's competitive week in and week out. At least get to the second round of the playoffs. You're hoping that you win the division. That means the NFC title game. I mean, I think that's all you can hope for as a coach. Because injuries play a factor. Nobody knows what the injuries. Saying that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to make it to the NFC Championship game is asinine. You got to kind of put a parameter around it because you don't know what kind of injuries you're going to face. Who are you going to lose? What other teams are going to lose? Do you get a good draw? Is there an upset? Do you lose Hurts for a stretch? You have no idea. So what you're saying is, hey, this football team shows market improvement on both sides of the ball. And you see the coaching. You see the quarterback playing well. You see more leadership out of him. And you see Nick acting more like a Mike Tomlin and a John Harbaugh. And you're stepping back. And you're more patient as a coach. And you're not a dick on the sideline or a cheerleader on the sideline. That might help. Here's the most important thing that Troy just said. Okay? Here's the thing that Troy just said. Right here. You have answers for the collapse this time. You have answers. This time you have answers. You have some answers for this stuff. Geppetto Roseman. Geppetto Roseman. Can't get any better than that. By the way, I heard these dudes talking this morning about the top receivers in the game. Here's Big Sill's top 5. I got Jefferson. Sorry, guys. I got A.J. Brown, 2. Or A.J. Owens, whatever you want to call him. I got him 2. I got Jamar Chase 3, Tyreek 4, and Devontae Adams 5. Dude, A.J. Brown's the second best wide receiver in pro football. He is. Imagine if he had a quarterback. All right. Let's go to the co-host of Birds 365. That was a good conversation I had this morning with Big Bill. He was on there too this morning, and hopefully we can connect here with Xander here. I don't see Xander.
You don't got me, Big Sills?
And I'm wondering if this is me.
It is you, man. I know. Everybody, can you hear me?
I can't see you, brother. Hopefully we can reconnect here a little bit here because they did a really good job this morning. And you know what? Again, one more time here when I say it. This O-line's got a really good shot. Yeah, we're froze here, Xander. I can't see it, so, I mean. Okay. I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much, Jeff DeBone. All good. It's you, Sills? Really? Sorry about that, guys. It's my end. I'm not seeing him, so hopefully we're able to connect him. Maybe Xander, maybe you could just log out, reconnect here. Let's see if we can hook it up again here. Yeah, I mean, I liked what they talked about when it came to that offensive line here. And that 2022 team is the line that we're going to have to really, in my opinion, have to really gauge it about. Let's go to Xander right now. Let's see if we can stay hooked up as long as we. It's Xander.
It's you, brother. It's you.
Oh, Jesus.
It's weird because your show is coming through clear, and you can't hear me. I don't understand it, but we're here.
Gavin Newsom and his internet has to be. All right, man. Hey, I'm going to go through some of the gambles here in a second.
Yeah, I didn't, just full disclosure, I didn't catch all of them. I was multitasking on my other computer doing some production work. So just run through them as if I haven't heard them, but it did sound like you had some good ones on the list.
Let me throw this at you, though. Don't you agree this 2024 offensive line should be gauged against the 2022 offensive line? Because the 2023 offensive line, there were issues, especially late. They didn't run the ball as well. I know play calling will be a conversation to that. This the best offensive line that the Eagles have had under the Nick Sirianni regime has been the 22 line.
Oh, I mean, yeah, by far. That's when they had Sayamalo. Yep. Yeah, they had Sayamalo in there, so that was a different.
And they were younger.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can compare the two. They're comparable, I would say. I mean, I think Lane Johnson is probably 90%, 95% of the player he was in 22 still. He really hasn't taken much of a drop off. Right guard's obviously the big question mark. Center is not going to be as good as it was in 22, even if Cam Jurgens plays amazing. And then you could argue the left side of the line is better because, I don't think Mailata or Dickerson have reached their peak as a player. So they're getting better each year. And you could argue that left side's a little bit better than 22, but the other three positions are probably a slight step back. But that doesn't mean I don't think they can be comparable and be a winning offensive line this year. I think they're going to be a top 3, top 5 offensive line. Should be good enough for us to get to the Super Bowl.
What do you make of the NFL.com not putting the Eagles in the top 10? You think that's just clickbait? Because, Ken, Dallas and also Baltimore is not in that. Now, is that just because the quarterback? Are they looking? Because, look, let's go through it here. 10.
Yeah. You're talking about the offenses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at 10.
Yeah, weird list to me.
This guy, Gennaro Felice from NFL.com, put it out there, and he goes, Indianapolis is the 10th best offense. What I take Indianapolis's personnel, their old line is awful good. Okay, it's top 3.
I don't even know if it's top 3, dude.
Oh,
Detroit, Philly.
Highest paid offensive lineman guard is in or second now because of Dickerson is in Indianapolis. I mean, that's a pretty good old line they got there.
I know, but man, I can think of some other really good offensive lines in the league that are. Yeah, I guess they're up there. They're up there. Okay, but still.
Okay, Pittman, I don't see it. I
mean, he's a good player, but he's a guy. He's not.
Jonathan Taylor's a better back than Barkley.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor's another guy that has a lot of tread on those tires, my friend. I mean, they ran him and ran him and ran him. So I think he's a great player.
And he was hurt last year.
Yeah, I think he's a great player. He's another guy I met at the Maxwell Awards. Great player, but, doesn't strike fear in the opponent for me. I mean, he's a good player. You got a game plan for him. But do I think he's going to, take you to a Super Bowl? No, I don't see that for him.
Let's go. And I think this comes down a lot to the quarterback. Who do you think has got more upside here, Anthony Richardson or Hurts?
It's a good question. Upside is a different question. I mean,
it is.
If
because it doesn't talk about the now.
Right. The now, I'm taking Jalen Hurts all day, right? I think Jalen Hurts is better in the now. But if you're talking about upside, I might still go Jalen Hurts. I like Anthony Richardson, but he had his problems in college, man. He never really turned the corner in college. I didn't see it. Now, the one thing about him is he has the physical things, like the physical gifts that you want. It almost reminds me of Carson Wentz in a way, where he has this humongous arm. He's very athletic. He has all the tools in the toolbox to be a good player. But as we all know, that doesn't mean everything in the NFL. How many guys have we seen come through that have had immense talent and didn't make it in the league? So we'll see with him. You know what my favorite part about Anthony Richardson is? You could probably answer this question.
Yeah, he's got Shane Steichen.
Yep. So he's got a good chance to get this thing going. But I'll take Hurts. I think Hurts. I really do. I feel better about Hurts in the long term than I do about Anthony Richardson.
Would you take Houston's offense over the Eagles' offense?
Ooh, that's a good one, man. They got
mix in Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs. You got Jeremy Tunsil at left tackle. The rest of them, the right guard is good, but they're clearly not the Eagle O-line.
Yeah.
And the tight end probably swings it also. Okay, Mixon had a grand last year without the quarterback being in the building. And he's a pretty good pass receiver too, so I think that's going to help. Plus, they got Slowick, that offensive play caller.
Yeah, he's great.
Who was a guy who was up for a lot of head coaching jobs. They got Tank Dell too. I mean, whose offense would you take? Would you take with the quarterback?
Yeah, the quarterback is probably the biggest question there for me because
you want to see him do it again.
I mean, no, honestly, in terms of comparison to the Eagles, I think CJ would you could argue that you'd rather have CJ over Jalen Hurts. But I know they have great receivers. They have Tank Dell. They have Stephon Diggs, obviously. Wait, sorry. I don't know if you can hear that. Another thing playing in the background there. They're comparable though to our skill position guys. Where I know they're great, but they're not like, oh, I'd rather have Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell than Devontae Smith or AJ Brown. You pick one, I'll take the other. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about that. And then our offensive line I like a lot better. And then their quarterback, I'd probably take CJ Stroud over Jalen Hurts. I really like the way he plays the game. Very good passer of the football. Can clearly read the field very well. I mean, he came on into the league as a rookie and just started lighting teams up. I mean, you just don't see that often, even with guys that have immense talent. So that's a good one. I mean, I think I'd probably go Eagles overall. But if you broke it down by position, the Texans could take away some of them for sure.
To me, the quarterback, I'm going to start my team with him over Hurts.
Well, me too. That's the biggest.
I think that. But again, I think that's where this list goes because I'm going to show you here.
It's blowing up on social.
Get this here, number 8. They have the Buffalo Bills, Xander, and I'm like, dude, I can't name one guy on that team outside of Dalton Kincaid, the tight end that they have, and that kid Bush at running back, who's good. He's not Barkley though. Well, Barkley's a better player. Their O-line is kind of decent. There's not a chance in hell. So this guy came down and NFL.com came down with, Allen is just a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. And he dismissed AJ and Devontae and Barkley in the O-line. Do you think there's this much disrespect for Jalen Hurts just off of the 1 year? I mean, he had so much love in 22. Isn't it seem like the reverse in 23?
Well, here's what I think is fair, even as an Eagles fan, right? If Jalen Hurts doesn't have a good year this year, and I'm not saying he's not going to, I'm saying if he doesn't, you're now looking at 4 years of him being a starter, and only 1 year was exceptional. So you have 3 years of him not being exceptional, him being a middle-of-the-pack quarterback, and 1 year of exceptional. That's a reason for people to say he's not an elite quarterback. Now, if he bounces back, you're no longer fighting it was a 1 year thing. But it is a fair criticism at this point. I mean, we've seen 3 years of a starter. He was first year starter. I thought he was pretty dang good for a first year starter. Won 9 ball games, turned the team around, started to really find his rhythm. Thought that was a good year. Then he took that seismic leap, MVP level play. Now he took a step back. Where is he going to go this year? So if he has another big year, I think you're going to start to see a lot less disrespect. But it does seem that the national media and people outside of Philadelphia, even people inside Philadelphia, i.e. Dan Sileo, are not as high on the player as Eagle fans are and Eagle Nation is. I mean, I think we all love the player because he's ours, and we know we go as far as he's going to take us. So it's a big year for him. It's a massive year for Jalen Hurts. If he turns it around, I don't think you're going to see much long-term disrespect with Jalen Hurts because he'll have solidified that he's a top 10 quarterback.
I want to make it clear one more time. If you're going to coach him the right way, you can win with him. If you're not, you're not.
Yeah,
He's not going to be the guy you want him to be. And if you consistently go down that route, and I'll consistently say that because people go, you don't like the player. I like the player in 22 because you coached him right. I hated the way you coached him in 23. And if that consistently consists of him going 35 passes, if Jalen Hurts becomes a 35 attempts passing guy every game and they limit the RPOs, I'm never going to be on page with that. And I'm never going to tell you he's going to win. He's not. Because he's not that good. Dude, he's not a progression reading guy. You want him to be Brock Purdy. He's not.
Yeah. No, you're right. If they take him out of what he's good at, then there are better options at quarterback than he is. It's just not his style of play. So you got to get him in what he does well and get him in where he's comfortable and get him back to that 22 form. You know, this is a good thought here. If Stroud has a bad year, what are the thoughts? I think the same thing there, right? You're looking at a 1 year good, but the difference with Stroud was he was that remarkable in year one, you know, so there's nothing to even, only thing we've seen of CJ has been excellence in the league. There's been no mediocrity. There's been no,
he had 6 picks.
I mean, it was amazing, man. His year last year was just unbelievable. He was my favorite quarterback to watch last year. He was the one other guy that I would fish out on Sundays because I'm very busy, obviously. On Sundays, it's a work day for me. It's not really an enjoyment day where I'm watching Eagles. I'm watching everything. I'm getting ready for our post-game show, all those things. He was the one guy I really tried to keep tabs on last year. Just a really great player and somebody that kind of made you eat their words talking about the Ohio State thing. Yeah.
After 155 years, they got a guy.
Yeah, they never had a guy coming out of Ohio State quit throwing the ball like that. And boy, did he silence the critics. Really good year for him. I think he has a chance to capture the league and be a top 3 quarterback for a long time.
Number 7, they put the Packers here and with Jordan Love. And I'll tell you what I loved about Matt LaFleur. I said this at the beginning of the year. We're going to find out what kind of coach Matt LaFleur is without Aaron Rodgers. They won all them ball games, and then they got out to that bumpy start. And I'm like this, I don't see it with Jordan Love. And you know what he was saying early on, even when they were going through those speed bumps? He was doing this, and he was saying this stuff, Xander. I see it in practice. He's seeing it. He's seeing it. He just needs more reps. He just needs more reps. That guy got better and better by the end of the season, and he coached his ass off, and they went into Dallas and blew that team out. I don't think Green Bay has better personnel than Philadelphia, but I do think Green Bay has a better quarterback than Philadelphia.
Yeah. I like Jordan Love. I don't feel like I do about CJ Stroud with him. I think he's going to have a big career, but I'm in a wait and see mode with him. I want to see it again from Jordan Love. They do have a pretty good cast. Not great, though. Not great.
Isn't that more him?
It's true. It's more him.
Or is it more him and the play caller?
Well, he's elevating. I mean, Matt LaFleur was somebody I was questioning after Aaron Rodgers left. Like, hey, can you do this without a Hall of Fame quarterback? And he certainly answered the call for sure. So they're good. They're a good team. He's a good quarterback, but I don't think they're a better offense than the Eagles. I'm sorry. I just don't. I don't think that's eagle-colored glasses to say that.
How about number 6 here? The Miami Dolphins, and you got Jalen Waddle. You have a scenario now where you have Tyreek Hill. You have a pretty good run game, and you have a scenario where you're looking at here with this team here. You got a pretty good play caller and the head football coach. Do you believe that the Miami Dolphins have a better offensive personnel than what the Eagles have?
I think they're comparable, but I like our quarterback better.
He led the NFL in passing yards.
Yeah, I know. And this is why I don't like this list, because this list to me, I mean, the Ravens aren't in the top 10. They were the number 6 offense in the league last year. They added Derrick Henry, and Mark Andrews is healthy, and they're not on the top 10.
And they got a top 4 offensive line.
Who did the Ravens lose that they're out of the top 10 based on what?
And the same play caller's back.
The same play. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, the Cowboys aren't in there. They were the 5th ranked offense in the league last year with 6,300 total yards. I mean, Hey, I'm not a Cowboy guy, but good Lord, who did they lose on offense that you're taking away, them out of the top 10? I mean, the Eagles out of the top 10, they were the 8th ranked offense last year, and they sputtered like hell down the stretch. This list to me is it's a weak list. It really is a weak list.
How do you look at Tua? I mean, it's like, I watch him sometimes and I say this, he's a cheap man's version of Peyton Manning. And what I mean by that is this, he knows and he has to know where to throw the ball pre-snap because he doesn't have a strong arm. He has to know
he has an
where
accurate
to go.
arm. He doesn't have a strong arm.
His problem is he's not big like Peyton. Peyton's 6'5.5", and when he gets hit, he could take the hit.
Yeah.
This guy can't take the hit. And I'll tell you something else about Tua too. Early on at Alabama, he ran around a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah.
But once he got the ankle hurt, and
you know what it was? It was the hip. You remember that one play late in the year, and that's when Jalen came in. It was that hip injury, man. That changed his mobility a lot. Tua is very accurate. He doesn't have a huge arm, and he's kind of strikes me as a guy, and everybody knows this. I'm wearing the Alabama hat. I was there when he won the national championship. I like the guy. I don't really see it with him in the NFL. Like, to me, everything has to be perfect around him, play caller included. You got Tyreek Hill. They have Jalen Waddle. They have a really good offense, a lot of weapons around them. Now, that's not a bad thing. You could say the same about Hurts, right? I mean, he's never won without high level players around him. But I don't know, man. Can Tua handle the rigors of the NFL? That's my biggest concern.
How about this? You think he's a 10-year guy?
No way. No way. Right? I mean, how could you?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, how could you? I mean, I like him. He's a good player. I just don't. He's not somebody I would take to try and take me over the top.
I just look at him and I go like this. I go, when I like, let's just use Hurts. Do I see him having the impact of Hurts each Sunday? Like, he's keeping me around the rim. Ability, yeah, but then
I don't even know
the availability. I don't see that. I mean,
I don't even know if it's ability either. I mean, availability.
He threw for 4,600 yards, and he wasn't horrible. He led the NFL.
Well, no, because he's a good. He gets the ball out on time, and he's very accurate. So, but the thing is, he's got that Mike McDaniel is a very good offensive mind, and he's got the perfect receivers for Tua. Yep. I mean, Waddle and Tyreek Hill are undersized speed demons that get open in space. Tua finds them easily, and that's where you get all those yards, where you have those speedy wide receivers. So I'm not – yeah, you're right. I mean, he's throwing a lot of yards. You can't take that away from him, but Kirk Cousins throws a lot of yards too. It's not everything. I get it matters, and it's good, and it shows you can be competent, but if we're talking about going over the top, winning a Super Bowl here with an offense that has that many weapons, I just don't like it. I'd rather have Jalen Hurts. I really would.
And I'd rather have the Eagle offense than the Dolphin offense.
Yeah, offensive line for sure. Running backs are comparable, I guess. They have that. Who's that one guy they have down there?
They got two guys there.
They got two guys. I forget.
They got two guys. They're pretty good too.
Achane or something like that.
Yeah. They got two guys there. And by the way, hey, do you think Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are comparable to the Eagle wideouts?
I think they're probably slightly better.
Those guys, Miami guys.
Yeah. Well, because here's my ranking, right? Yeah,
Are they different though?
They're way different. But here's my wide receiver rankings: Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, AJ Brown. So I think Tyreek is a more impactful player than AJ Brown, just because he can take the top off a defense at any given moment, and you can't cover the guy. He's proven that even when you know his speed is there, you can't stop it. Now, there are different types. You're right. AJ Brown's physical.
But you know why I want AJ over Tyreek? Because I want a guy who's going to knock someone out in the middle of the field.
Catch radius, yeah.
And you know what? Hey, no question. You have to defend speed. But I'll tell you what, there's nothing more intimidating than a wide receiver knocking a safety out in the middle of the field or his yards after catch. I give this guy a ton of shit, but I'll tell you what, he's better in Philly. And I didn't think he was this good because when he was in Tennessee, Xander, 64, 65 catches a year, 900 yards, 1,100 yards. I was like this. I don't see it. Now, I mean, dude, it's Jefferson, him, and Chase. And then I go Tyreek, and then I know Devontae Adams. He's been in a shithole with the Raiders. He went for the bag of money.
Yeah, which you can't knock him for. Yeah.
Okay. But remember, too, I heard you guys talking about Michael Thomas, by the way. Michael Thomas hasn't had a good year. What'd you guys say for him potentially being in the 3-hole for the Eagles? You guys went like this.
I don't like that move at all.
Well, wait a minute, man. He hasn't had – the reason that he had all those yards 4 years ago is because he had Breeze.
Yeah, it's true.
Who's he had the last 4 years or 3 years in Taysom Hill?
Yeah, but he can't stay on the field either. He can't stay healthy.
He missed I think he was hurt last year.
He missed – how many games has he missed the last couple years?
Wasn't one of them a contract dispute too?
Yeah, that's right. Well, he got that massive contract. I mean, last 4 years, 2021, he was out complete. He's never played more than – so he went 15 – yeah, this is terrible, dude. 2020, he played 7 games. 2021, he missed the entire season. 2022, he played 3 games. 2023, he played 10 games.
Not doing it.
4 years, dude. He hasn't played more than 10 games in 4 years. In 3 of the years, it was 7 or under.
Would you give him a league minimum?
League minimum, yeah. I mean, because remember, he's not a volume. He wouldn't be a volume guy here, so you could lower the risk of injury. But I just think there's better.
Well, look at what the Dolphins are doing with Beckham. They're putting him in the 3-hole down there in Miami.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not.
We kind of had him there in Baltimore last year. He was a little bit of a non-factor for them.
Well, I thought he was more of a 2 there. He was a 3 in LA, and they went to the Super Bowl. And you know what I mean? I mean,
they signed him late though when they did that Super Bowl run, didn't they? Yeah.
Okay, how about this one? Would you take the Cincinnati offense over the Eagle offense?
It feels like a no-brainer, but the offensive line is holding me back. I don't like the Bengals offensive line. I know they've improved it a little bit, but they haven't done what the Eagles have done in terms of investing the resources needed to have a great offensive line. But Joe Burrow, I'm taking over Jalen Hurts, obviously, and with their receivers, it's a pick 'em. I mean,
it's a push.
Yeah, you take one, I'll take the other. It's another one of those situations. So, skill position players, you got to take Cincinnati, but the offensive line matters so much. It's tough to take that Cincinnati
because they got rid of Mixon.
Yeah, they got rid of Mixon, right? So I don't know. It's close, but Burrow is such a big factor. You got to go to Cincinnati.
This is an interesting one. The Rams. That's why this list, like you said, it just doesn't make sense. Would you pick the Rams offense?
No, I wouldn't.
Over I mean, I get Sean McVay. I get the play caller. They must have added that. And they clearly think Stafford's better than Hurts, and he is. But the O-line's not really great. They haven't been good in 2 years. The running game is not that great. The receivers, I get it. Puka Nacua, Kupp. But is that AJ and Devontae? No. I would take the Philly guys. Where's the advantage? So it's just the quarterback and potentially the play caller? Is that what you're doing? Because that's not enough to swing the pendulum for me to go the Rams have a better offense than the Eagles. This comes down to they just think Stafford's better and the gap is that much wider and he makes up for some of the deficiencies, which I don't think he does.
And how old is Stafford, man? He's 36. Like, I know he's still playing at a high level, but he hasn't been the guy since the Super Bowl that great. I mean, he's missed a couple games. So I don't know about that Rams team, man. I like Cooper Kupp, but he's also a guy who hasn't been able to duplicate the success he had that 1 year. He's had good numbers, but he hasn't been that guy. Remember, he was the leading receiver in the league that 1 year. Everyone's like, oh my God, he's the greatest receiver ever. He's not. He fell off a little bit once teams started to game plan for him. So he's a good player. He's not an elite top 5 receiver in my eyes. Puka Nacua is good, still young, still has a ways to go. Obviously, he's a good young player, but nothing that's closing the gap overwhelmingly. And Matt Stafford, I love him, but I know he's
under 500. He doesn't have a 500 record.
Well, that's because of Detroit. I mean,
yeah, well, golf has turned that around.
Yeah, it's true. Now they've done a better job building a team around golf than they did around Stafford, but Stafford did have Calvin Johnson.
Yeah. And Reggie Bush.
Right. Yeah. So it's a good point.
Number 3, and this is where I will for the first time say, I do think Detroit's got a better offense than the Eagles. I think their O-line is comparable. I think their tight end is
O
better.
line's better. I think their O line's better than ours.
I think their that tight end, Laporte, is more durable and more reliable. I think you got Jamison Williams. This is where maybe the Eagles have the advantage. That other kid, St. Brown,
Yeah.
where they just made $32 million. I
Good
don't
player,
think
but
he's AJ.
yeah.
I'd still give it to Philly and the wideouts. But, dude, hey, watch this. This is going to be crazy. Would you take Jared Goff over Dak Prescott?
I wouldn't take Jared Goff over Jalen Hurts, and that's my biggest dilemma with the Detroit Lions offense. I
But
like
he's
the
done
offense.
more.
Huh?
He's done more.
Yeah, but
Hey, I'm with you. When I look at him, I see
that's it.
vanilla
That's
ice
my
cream.
problem.
I see
Right.
I see vanilla ice cream too, but I mean, dude, 4,500 yards every year, 30 touchdowns. He wins. He's turning Detroit around. They have put a good team around him. He's gone to 2 conference title games. He's taken a team to a Super Bowl. He's won an NFC championship. Jesus criminy, man.
Yeah, true. You're right.
Get this. He's a better quarterback than Dak.
Yeah, and he's got more accolades. And he's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts, just based off what you just said. You're right. I mean, the guy has been a winner, and he's done a lot. He has a lot of accomplishments in the league. You're right. The Detroit offense is probably better. I just see vanilla, like you said, with the quarterback, but you can't dispute success, and he's definitely had it. So
you know who Goff reminds me of? You may be too young for this. He reminds me of Aikman, where he's just.
I've watched highlights of Aikman, but I wasn't around.
He's just like, you know what? Aikman was never sensational, but they won because they had so
put
many
up mediocre numbers every year. Everybody talks about that with Troy,
and they always put up because there were so many good people around him. You know what I mean? I mean, you're going to think this is crazy. I'm sorry, but I think the Eagles have a better offense in Kansas City. I mean, I think they got better. No, this is personnel. I think they got better offensive personnel than Kansas City. Where do they beat them in? The tight end? Okay. The quarterback. For sure, that's a big deal. Better O-line, better receiving core, better running back. Hey, look, Pacheco's good.
Yeah, he's not
Hartley's better.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
point.
Kansas City really, that just shows you the gap that guy closes on everything, doesn't it?
It's true, because even last year, the Chiefs were the 9th ranked offense. So this
Eagles were 8th.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. This list is funny because, and I feel like deservedly so, let's be clear. The Chiefs do get a little bit of an extra push despite personnel because of their success the last couple of years. And like I said, they deserve it. They're right. 2 times. I mean, they won back-to-back Super Bowls. I get it. They deserve it. But from a purely roster perspective, yeah, you're right. The Eagles have a better offense on paper, but Patrick Mahomes closes any gap, like you mentioned, and he's the best quarterback in the league, and it's not close. Number 2 is not close right now. I mean, you can talk about all these guys with all this skill. I get it. They have skill close to Mahomes, but when you take a guy that just consistently wins the big game over and over and over again and is already a 3-time Super Bowl champion, how old is he? I mean, you just can't take away from that, and it's crazy, man, because when Brady hung him up, you're thinking, man, when are we going to see a player this dominant again?
Yeah.
And you think it'll take some time before you see it. And then, boom, there he is right there. He's already captivated the entire league. He's the best quarterback we've seen. He could retire today. Jason Cole said this on our show a little bit ago, or maybe it was last year after the Super Bowl. He could retire today, and he would be a Hall of Famer. That's how good he's been in the first 6 or 7 years of his career. That's incredible.
I think he's the best quarterback to ever play.
Talent-wise?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong with saying that. You really can't.
I mean, obviously, it's like the Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus conversation. You know, I don't need Tiger to have 18 majors. He's had 14 majors, but when I watch Tiger, in my opinion, Tiger is more dominant than what Jack was. And I really don't need to see that. I get the resume, and that matters, dude, when you're talking that. It all does.
Yeah, it does.
So, but at the end of the day, when we're talking just pure talent, Mahomes does things that no quarterback. He's ambidextrous. He throws passes with his left and right hand.
Unconventional.
Everything that he does too, when he needs to run an RPO, he runs the RPO. He really is. And now I'm going to say this, and you may agree or disagree. I think San Francisco is the better offense than Philadelphia because the quarterback knows how to distribute the football. The quarterback in San Francisco distributes to more players. Jalen doesn't throw checkdowns. Jalen doesn't throw really the tight ends. That guy Purdy throws to everybody.
Yeah, well, that's their entire offense.
Right.
is to get the ball out of the hands of Purdy, which is it's one of two things. It's a credit to Brock Purdy for working in the talented players around him, or it's a knock on Brock Purdy that shows that he's not going to do it without that type of talent around him, and he's more the caboose than he is, pulling it. So I don't know. I mean, they definitely have a better offense, but I give almost maximum amount of credit I can to Kyle Shanahan for what kind of position he puts them in. Nobody in the league would use Deebo Samuel like they use Deebo Samuel.
No.
Nobody in the league would use Christian McCaffrey, even if they had him, the way they're able to use Christian McCaffrey. And that's a credit to the coaching and the position that he's putting them in. But you're right. It's probably the best offense in the NFL, I would say.
Disciple, I saw that, and you're right. It's a great take. Golf was the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
He better produce. I'm not going to give you the entire list here because I don't want to go too deep here.
Who was number 1?
But what I'm going to no, I had San Francisco, but what I want to do now is I want to do the 2024 Eagle gambles.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I want to throw, because I heard you guys talking this morning, and I heard Bill say something about Reddick. You guys were talking about this, and I put these gambles down, and you look at all of the gambles that they have. I wrote down 10 of them here. We don't have to go through all of them here, but will Huff equal Reddick, in your opinion?
I don't think he's going to equal Reddick, but maybe he won't have to equal Reddick if you have, everybody rising tide lifts all boats. Maybe all the younger guys perform a little bit better this year and you're able to make up the gap. But, how much I'll ask you this real quick before I give you my full answer here. How much stock do you put in, like, the pass rush win rate and the pressure percentage and pressures like that? Because Bryce Huff's numbers were pretty insane in that regard. Like they were up there with like the Myles Garretts of the world and the Micah Parsons. Now, I'm not saying he did it at the same level. It was a much more reserve role. It was lesser snaps. He had an insane defensive line around him, mind you. They had one of the best defenses in the league in New York in the Jets. But his pass rush, if you take that and you extrapolate it out to what he could do in a bigger role, the data says he could be as good as Hassan Reddick. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm not going there. But I think he'll be comparable enough that it will be a good signing for us, and you'll make up what you lose in Hassan. Because remember, Hassan couldn't do everything either. Hassan had deficiencies on the field, and they cost us in certain moments. So it's not like he's irreplaceable, Hassan Reddick.
Okay. Well, most of Huff's success numbers came from behind when they were behind and blown out in games. How many wins did the Jets have?
Is that true? Is that right?
Well, they had 5 wins. You're talking about, if you're talking about empty calorie stats for Kirk Cousins throwing yards up, okay. Now, here's something else too. 25% success rate is great. I heard John say that. There's no doubt. In a limited role, when you're put in a position to succeed, which means this, they put him in 3rd and long, and he got home, which is great. No question. What were the circumstances? I saw Hassan Reddick in an NFC Championship game completely fucking destroy that game and turn that game into a one-man MVP mood. He was the best player of the 22 on the field that day when he did. Dude, I think he destroyed the other backup quarterback too that was in that game.
He did, yeah. Remember they had McCaffrey or somebody playing quarterback. That's the whole rule. The new rule in the NFL is they can keep a 3rd guy on the roster because of Hassan Reddick. It's a good point. He was a game record.
He was so is Huff going to be able to be a game record like that? There's only 2 guys in the last 5 years that have had multiple sack years or 4 years. It's Myles Garrett and him. That's a big statement. And remember something, the Eagles were the hunted last year. The Jets, when they lost their quarterback, how many wins did they have? Like 5? They were behind in every game. They were blown out in a ton of them too. So did they just put him out there and pass rush? Did he get home? Were they critical pass rushing moments last year for Bryce Huff that were really game-changing? I saw Hassan Reddick miss the first 4 games of the season last year because he had a cast on his hand. And I saw Matt Patricia misuse him the last 4. So it was really unfair to really gauge the guy and what the guy's season was like, and he still had 11. I mean,
here's the biggest problem, though. I mean, and I hear you, Hassan. You're right about Hassan Reddick and his ability to game wreck, and we have to see it with Bryce Huff for sure. Where was Hassan in the last 7 games last year?
Matt Patricia's defense.
Right, it's a good point. I mean, 0 sacks in the playoff game, 0 sacks versus the Giants, 0 sacks versus the Cardinals, 0 sacks versus
They were
the Giants,
dropping them.
0 sacks versus Seattle, 1 sack, 2 sacks versus the Cowboys, and a half a sack versus San Francisco. That's where he was in the 1-6 stretch down the stretch.
And if you notice, when he got the sacks, he was with the Psy.
Yeah, I mean, look,
Yeah,
I'm a Hassan Reddick guy. I'm not saying that to try and criticize the player. I liked Hassan Reddick in Philly. I look back at him as a big impact for us and a great player. He was a good signing. I thought he was a successful signing for Howie. But do I think he's irreplaceable? No. Have we seen it from Bryce Huff? Also, no. Do I think he can get there? I do. I do think he can get there. We'll see.
You think Devin White returns to his all-pro form?
I do not.
When he was in his second year. It's been 4 years since that moment. Do you think he returns to his all-pro year that he had? He's still 26 years old. He's young. He's not old. Fast as hell still.
I don't see it, man. I don't see it. I don't see it. Too much talent, too much shown early in his career to have the type of drop-off he's had, and then the consistency in the drop. I mean, Todd Bowles benched him, and he still talks about Todd Bowles like he's a father figure. Like Todd Bowles tried to do everything he could to make that guy succeed, and he didn't. And that's a big thing to me. And I don't see it with Devin White. I think we're going to be another year of the island of misfit toys at linebacker position. I don't see it right now with Devin White. Nakobe Dean to me is.
I'm done talking about him.
I'm there with you right now. I'm just done. I got to see it from your brother. I'm done talking about it.
Yep.
So we'll see. But to answer the gamble, you're right. It's a big gamble, and I don't see it. I do not see him returning to a guy that he was 4 years ago. I mean,
do you think this is Howie's biggest draft gamble in the last 4 drafts, Nolan Smith? And do you think he's going to be a stud or dud, the 31st pick in the draft? Do you think this has been right now, as it's shaping up, his biggest gamble that he's had in the last 4 years?
No, biggest gamble is not the right word. I don't think he was a gamble because
rounder.
Remember how it went though. We had 2 first-round picks that year. Howie made the trade up to take Jalen Carter.
Right.
I'm not saying it wasn't a gamble or it wasn't a big reach to go and get Nolan Smith, but it kind of blended in. Like it wasn't like when he took Jalen Reagor and it was like everybody's waiting for this guy to be the first-round receiver because we need a first-round receiver. It didn't have that feel to it at all. And now I think because of that, it's lowered the expectation for Nolan, deservedly or undeservedly. You could argue either way, but no, I don't think the pressure is on him as much as it should be. I'm with you though. I mean, he's a first rounder, man. Like you got to show up this year. Like we did this talk with John McMullen this morning, and he's like, if he gets 4 or 5 sacks, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
4 or 5 sacks? That's what you want from your second year guy that was taken in the first round? I mean, I want more than that. I want 6 minimum.
I can get that from a 3rd rounder, dude.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, no, JM, that was the year before, brother. He moved up to 13 for Davis. That was the year before.
Yeah.
Nolan Smith was the Jalen Carter draft. That was a year later, which was
he did move up for Davis too, though.
He moved up for Davis. He did, but that was not the same year as Nolan Smith.
When you move into the top 10, that's a dramatic move.
Well, yeah, he jumped 1 spot for Jalen Carter.
Yeah,
because he thought
that's right. So Chicago was there.
Chicago wasn't going to take him. The fear was that somebody else was going to trade with Chicago to take him. So the Eagles moved up. Okay, JM, I see what he's saying. He's saying no. He's saying Davis was a bigger gamble. Sorry, JM, I jumped to conclusions. He's right. I mean, to your point, who was Nolan the biggest gamble? You could argue Davis was a bigger gamble. Now, I think Davis
more out of Davis more. I've seen more out of Davis though.
You've seen more. Now he's had an extra year, but you have definitely seen more out of Jordan Davis. I don't know though. My biggest concern with Nolan Smith, and before you roast me in the chat, everybody, I know it doesn't matter. I could be completely wrong, and I'm perfectly okay with that. I just don't see it. Like when I look at him, I don't see it. I don't see a dominant edge rusher in the NFL. I don't even see a Hassan Reddick edge rusher who was already undersized to begin with. Maybe that will change. Maybe he'll grow into his body a little bit more, but that's my biggest concern with Nolan Smith. And doesn't the signing of Huff kind of show you that they're not fully sold yet, right?
Yeah, guess what they did? They drafted a guy. You completely are now seeing how Howie makes cover for his mistakes. Rager fucks up, he gets AJ Brown. If there's an edge rusher, he has a corner issue, he goes and he makes a trade for Slay, or he signs a Bradbury. If he doesn't get a position right, he'll go and cover it in free agency.
Yeah, but by the way, I'd rather him do that.
But wait a minute. The owner gives him the latitude on the 1-year deals. Okay. Give the money up front, lower the cap hit. I'll tell you what's more important in Philadelphia than anything else. They care more about Howie's salary cap than they do paying the players, because they'll pay the players in Philly. That's uncommon a lot of other places. It's really true. A cool thing. It's uncommon.
Here's the biggest thing I'll point to with Nolan Smith, right? He was taken the same year as Jalen Carter. Both first-round players, both brought in to replace guys who were producing at a high level. The Eagles lost Fletcher Cox this year. You know what the Eagles didn't do? Go out and sign a big-name defensive tackle.
That's right.
They know that Jalen Carter is going to cover that guy's ass.
Agreed. And you know what they did?
You lost Hassan Reddick. Wait, let me finish. You lost Hassan Reddick this year. They needed to go and sign Bryce Huff, because the first-year guy that they took to be a pass rusher that supposedly had the model of Hassan Reddick, the same style of player, they had to go and sign somebody because they didn't trust that guy yet. That tells you all you need to know about how the Eagles think about Nolan Smith.
How much of a gamble do you think this is? They went out and they drafted 2 corners, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, in the first round and second round. Are they the right guys?
We'll see. I liked Terrion Arnold. Now, you could argue maybe I'm a Bama guy and that's why I liked him. I just liked the physicality of him. Forget the school. I'm talking about the player. I'm not in love with the zone corner. I know Terrion would be good at that too, but he was a more physical corner. He was a more in-your-face guy. He could play press cover. He could play zone. He could play all over the field.
And look who he played against.
And exactly. Came from the SEC, and he dominated in the SEC. He was a very high-caliber player in the SEC. I preferred him. He was my number 1 corner going into the draft. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying that.
Neither am I. I don't know yet.
Player, but yeah, you could argue it's a gamble. Now, I think Quinyon's going to be good. I really do. I think he's going to be a good player. He seems to be very sound fundamentally in the game, understands the game, listens to coaching. He seems to do all the right things. And from what everybody has seen so far down there at practice, I know it's just practice, early spring, but apparently he looked pretty dang good. He looked like you'd want a first-round corner to look. I think that's a promising sign. And Cooper DeJean, I feel great about. I feel better about Cooper DeJean than I do about Quinyon. I really do. I think he's going to be.
Is it because he went in a second round?
Well, certainly you feel better about that, but I mean the player. I just, when I see him and when I watch some of his tape, he looks like a guy that's going to make an impact in the NFL, regardless of where you play him. If you put him in the outside, I think he'll be good. If you put him inside the slot, I think he'll be good in between the numbers. If you put him at safety even, he seems to have the skill set to be able to adapt and play a different position. I feel great about Cooper DeJean.
Kitchens kid is a good ball player too. I know. They could have taken him too. Kitchens was good. I'm okay with DeJean here. Couple last ones here for you.
Who do you like better though of those two?
Oh, I loved Arnold. I think Arnold is the guy in my opinion.
No,
of the two Eagle guys.
Yeah,
Cooper DeJean.
I just get a feeling I feel better about him, but.
You know why? I think there's less chance of failure with him because he's either going to be a guy in the numbers or you're going to drop him in the slot.
See, you know what though? I don't. When I say that, I don't want people to think I'm thinking Quinyon's going to be a bust. I actually think Quinyon. The best part about Quinyon to me is I believe he has a very high floor. Like I think he's going to be a good player. In terms of upside, though, I think Terrion Arnold had the higher ceiling. I think he could become a better cornerback than I think Mitchell will become. Now,
And they
maybe
were
I'm
only
wrong on that.
separated by 2 picks.
Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, Eagles fan 220, thanks for checking in, brother. He says Mitchell has more upside. Look, I hope you're right. I really do. I hope I'm wrong on this. I'm just telling you how I kind of read the board at the time, and I'm no draft expert. I get it. You can criticize me. I just thought Terrion had the bigger upside as a cornerback, but I do think Quignon's got a high floor, and I think that's going to be good for the Eagles because they need a guy that can come in and be a consistent good player, even if he's not a superstar.
Do you think the biggest gamble of all this list, this is number 10, you think the biggest gamble is bringing back Nick Sirianni?
I do. I thought that when you said it. I heard you when you talked about it. I think that was the biggest gamble here. Now, I think it has a chance to pay off because you brought in an offensive mind that's not consumed by all the other bullshit that happens in the city of Philadelphia, that all the other bullshit that happens for the head coach of the Eagles when you're dealing with the owner and you're dealing with Howie and you're dealing with defenses and you're dealing with the press and you're dealing with all those things. It makes your job harder. Let's just be real. That's what Nick Sirianni was going through. That's what he was trying to do. Now you removed him, which you could argue you castrated him, but it might be like a bow. You pulled it back and you have a chance to shoot it forward now. And I think they're going to have a better offense. They're going to have a guy that understands the game more in the moment, that's more consumed by the offense. He's got one job. It's to make this thing work. And I like Kellen Moore. I've been saying it on your show. I know there's Dallas fans in here who are going to tell me I'm wrong, and I'm good with that criticism. I think he's going to work, man. I think he's going to get the most out of Jalen Hurts. I think he's going to play to his strengths. He's going to force him to get better at the things he struggles with, short passes, over the middle, getting Dallas Goedert involved, some of those other things. And I think we're going to have a better offense from it. I really do. So I think Nick is the biggest gamble, but I think there's a chance at a big upside with it as well.
Finally, can Nick save his job? What would be a good year for you?
Yeah,
for Nick Siri, what would be? We've talked. You and I have already talked about what would be a good year for Jalen. So the last one I wanted. What would look and be a good year? You said something yesterday. If Nick Sirianni goes on the open market and he puts a team in the playoffs 4 years in a row as a head coach,
he's going to get a gig.
I mean, now if he wins. Okay, and he evens his record, but if he's 2-4, I still think you look at it, especially if they win 11, 12 ball games this coming year. But what can save his job and how can he turn his fortunes, or can he turn his fortunes around? Okay, can he?
Absolutely can. I don't think he's out to pasture yet. I think he's on the hot seat, but I don't think he's out to pasture yet.
Like, is his job unwinnable to get it back?
No, it's not. No, it's not at all. I mean, look at the talent on the team. If they reach expectations here, I mean, and let's talk about what they are, those expectations. I think a lot of people are right in the chat. I mean, Bob Brown, great commenter. What's up, Bob? Appreciate you being here, brother. NFC Championship, and NS Wells, NFC Championship. Kyle,
but that's luck.
No, but here's the thing, right?
That's got to be a lot of luck. That's
because of last year, though, Sills. I think the way it happens this year is important. Yeah. Like if you go out like a limp dog at the end again and you lose, in the wild card game and you look like the team didn't care, didn't play for you, didn't fight, the same thing as last year, he's as good as gone. If you don't make the NFC title game and you lose in the round before, but you lose in an overtime nail biter and it's 38-35 or whatever it is, and you walk out of there on the wrong side of the coin, I think they keep him. Because I think you showed that the team has the talent, the ability. Like, if you get burnt though, and the team isn't playing with effort, I think he's gone. But I don't think you have to make the NFC title game. I think you need a playoff win though. You can't go into the wild card and get bounced. You just can't. And I don't think we're going to get the top seed.
I don't think you have to get to the NFC because, again, I explain this to people. The most important thing in the last couple of years that the Eagles had, and the most impressive thing that they had, was when they went into that Super Bowl in the 2023 Super Bowl against Kansas City. Every guy on September 8th that started in that game. You know the chances of having you do that again are in Jalen Hurts' career? None. Dude, that doesn't happen like that. That's the best team he'll ever play on. So to sit there and go like this on July 2nd, how do you know who gets hurt on the other teams? Your own team. Do you lose Jalen for a stretch? Is Goddard going to miss some games again? So when people go, Sills, is this an NFC? Look, the offense, in my opinion, is an NFC championship game participant. The defense, on the other hand, I think it's a non-playoff defense. But we'll have to see how it meshes and how it plays out. You brought a point up a month ago about the NFC. I mean, really, outside of Green Bay, Detroit, San Francisco, Dallas, if you want, does anybody else, maybe Green Bay, does any of those teams go like this? I can't beat them on a Sunday.
No, you're right. And it's funny because I think worst case scenario for this team, I think worst case scenario. And I
Can't
mean
beat
this
the NFC title game by the Niners again.
No, I think worst case scenario, if this team really isn't winning games like we're expecting them to win, I think they win 9 ball games, and I think they win the NFC East still. So you're going to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the biggest thing too coming into this year is that I think the path of the playoffs for the Eagles is relatively easy. I mean,
it's not a
I think Dallas is still there. I think fans are writing off Dallas. I think you're writing off Dallas a little bit too much. I think they're a good team still. I think they have a lot of good players. I think they're going to be a good contender. I really do. Doesn't mean they're going to win playoff games because they never do. But I do think they're going to be a decent team. I think they're going to be a tough test for us. But, Bob Brown brings up a good point here, Dan. Let's check it out. Thanks, man. He says, guys, the reason Nick can save his job is because Howie and Jeff want him to succeed, so they will grade him on a curve, just like Howie grades his draft choices. That's true, man. That's true.
But do they grade him on a curve? Do they grade him on a curve?
If they didn't fire Doug Peterson like they did, you think Nick would have kept his job in another organization like the way they went out last year?
No.
So the reason that they kept Nick, in my opinion, was more to protect themselves than it was to show belief in the coach. So that to me shows that the front office is going to put themselves first. The best look for the front office isn't to start this thing over. It's not. It's not. Trust me, Jeff Lurie wants everybody to continue to say he hires great coaches. He hires great coaches, and I don't think he wants to restart.
He hires winning coaches for sure.
Winning coaches, yeah. I mean, the best of them all, though, they canned.
I know, man, right? Well, to quote Joe Biden, end of quote. Great stuff, Xander. Great. Hey, that John McMullen loves that Micah Parsons, doesn't he, man? I mean,
really
hey, he thinks, does he think highly of CD?
He does. I think he had him right at 6.
Put CeeDee Lamb on the numbers and see how he performs against those corners.
Yeah. I mean,
if I put A.J. Brown in a slot going against safeties, he'd have $2,000.
Yeah, but there's nobody else out there, so the defense can adjust. I mean, you can't just say that. The only reason he's having success is because they're lining him up in the slot.
Well, he plays most of the time against safeties. He doesn't line up in corners.
All right, well, I'm blaming the defenses for that more than I am on anybody else.
So what are you going to do? Take your top corner and put him in a safety position?
I don't know, but what are you going to do?
Mismatches.
Are you going to die by the only thing the Dallas Cowboys can beat you with?
It's actually one thing the Cowboys do right. They move the guy into a position on mismatch. That's what they do.
If you're a defense and you know that the Cowboys are going to go to CeeDee Lamb, it's like how many times did they target him last year? That was the one thing.
What was it? 191 or something?
It was insane. It was insane numbers. That's why it's like, take him out. I mean, I don't care what you do. If you need to move your best corner to the slot, then move him there.
Teams don't do that.
Yeah, well, because that's because most teams are playing the Vic Fangio defense, and they don't move guys like that.
It's also an indictment on the Eagles not being able to move AJ or Devontae around.
Well, you heard Devontae talk about that this offseason. He says we have a little bit more freedom to move, and he likes that a lot. I think that was, a little bit of that offense getting stale last year. So I think that's where Kellen, again, to my point about Kellen, I think he's going to improve this team about that. He's going to move AJ and Devontae around. He's even going to move, Dallas Goedert around. He might move Saquon Barkley around. Give some different looks to confuse defenses to get your best guys open. I think Kellen's going to do a good job at that.
Hey, one last thing. Let me sneak this in because I heard you say this about Chris Long. I went and listened to it. Boy, man, Darius Slay said this about Vic Fangio. This guy's an old school guy, man. I love the way he coaches, and he's not going to play you because you make the most money. That guy doesn't believe in that philosophy. He doesn't have a mentality like that. He tells you exactly. He knows everybody's technique. He's trying to show you exactly what he wants. I think that could be a little bit of a head bump with Howie, the way that they are up there. Because,
sounds like it's going to be, yeah.
Because Vic, they like putting guys on the team. Like I tell you what, Jordan Davis starts dragging his ass around. He ain't going to be the starter in that defensive line. He'll yank that guy's ass. That could be a problem.
You got nobody to put behind Jordan Davis. That's the problem.
Well, he'd rather put a lesser player that gives him more effort than a guy.
We don't have another player that can even play what Jordan Davis does. That's the problem.
He had no effort, according to Baldinger last 5 games of the year. He should have
been. Baldinger was
a
little tough on him. I mean, he wasn't great down the stretch, but if we're going to use the same thing we talked about with all the other defensive guys, I asked you, where did Hassan Reddick go? You know what you told me?
Yep.
Matt Patricia. All right. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter both fell off a cliff. Hassan Reddick fell off a cliff. Every guy on defense fell off a cliff.
It's a fair take.
If I'm using the one excuse for the one guy, I have to apply that to everybody.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying I don't want more effort. I'm just saying right. Patricia came in and blew that whole defense.
No. You know what? Because Gary Cobb was the first to identify it. What he said was they took him out of one gap and put those 2 tackles in 2 techniques, and that's why they evaporated. And that's why they got worn down, because they were 2-gapping instead of doing what they were doing early.
Exactly.
Great stuff, Xander. Appreciate you doing this, brother. Thank you so much for being on as long as you were today. Can't thank you enough, brother. Hit the like button, folks. Don't forget to check them out. Birds 365 with John McMullen. They do a great job each and every single morning. Farzetta kicks off also our broadcast. Great stuff, brother.
Thank you, Sills. Appreciate it, brother.
All right, hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Appreciate you guys coming aboard. Thank you. I want to show you something here on how people lie to you when they tell you that a sport, an athlete, or things are doing well. And they kind of try to mislead the consumer and the sports consumer. Let me show you this here. Could you ever imagine if the Philadelphia Eagles had won the Super Bowl this past year, that Jeffrey Lurie would put up the Eagles for sale? After he won it, 3 months after he won the Super Bowl? Could you imagine him doing that? Or Clark Hunt, who 4 months ago won the Super Bowl. Can you imagine him selling the Chiefs? Can you imagine that? So the Boston Celtics won the NBA championship 2 months ago, and the owner of the Celtics has now put up one of the most recognizable sports brands in America, and he's selling it. The Celtics. He wants out of the NBA. Nobody sells unless you need money. Name me the last time. You know, the only time NFL teams get sold is when the owner dies. Very seldom do you, or it gets pushed out, like Jerry Richardson and Daniel Snyder. You don't go, well, I'm going to sell the Eagles. Okay? They forced Snyder out. He didn't want to leave. The National Football League is doing so well. I don't think the NBA is. Without the Chinese money and without other entities and how they make money, dude, the NBA, that thing's not doing well. They've lost half their audience. Nobody watches any of the post-game, pre-game shows. And now you've lost inside the NBA with Barkley and them guys. And you got players who only want to play 65 games a year. What is intriguing about the NBA? And let's do this. If you took Steph Curry and LeBron James and Kevin Durant out of the league, what would you watch it for? The European guys? I'd rather watch the Olympics. It's like watching the NHL. I mean, the NBA is not trending up. The NFL is a monster. I mean, you don't sell teams. You get teams willed to you. Shows you the power of the National Football League. The Celtics are for sale. 2 months after winning. Two months after you win the NBA title because it's the highest it'll be. So you want to get out of it. You want to get out of the NBA. Because get this, it's a losing proposition. Really, these other sports leagues, Major League Baseball, same thing. National Football League. You know, why do you think the NFL is the number one sport in America? It's not just because we all love football. Their business model is better than any other business model. And you know what that business model is? You know what that business? Yeah, Yale goes that Philly sell out most of their games. Okay, that's a great sports town. I can promise you this. Not even the Dodgers do that. I can promise you the Kansas City Royals and Tampa Bay Rays don't. Marlins don't. The Reds don't. They don't. No. You know why? Here's the two most important things you always have to remember about the NFL. No guaranteed contracts. No guaranteed contracts except for one. That was the business model. And they believe in profit sharing. No team is going to make less than the other team. And that's why the NFL has been a better business model. They don't guarantee the players their contracts. Not like the NBA. You sign a guy to a $212 million contract like Maxey, that thing's an albatross around your neck. If that guy's good or bad, you're held to that contract. In the NFL, they got off-ramps getting out of that shit. NFL believes in parity. Absolutely. Nobody, and that's why they had a bitch and moaning, and they were complaining about Deshaun Watson's contract. All right. Let's ask a question about Dallas Goedert here. Gambling will help the NBA. Gambling will help the NBA. Is this Dallas Goedert's last year in Philadelphia? Is this Goddard's last year? If you're Howie Roseman, is tight end this coming off season a major priority? And here's why I bring this up. Let's take a look at the teams in the NFC that are pretty in the picture right now when it comes to being a contender. Okay? San Francisco, who do they have? They got George Kittle. Is Kittle's probably the top tight end now in the league, right? Okay. Detroit, they were in the NFC title game last year. They got the kid Laporta, 71 catches, nearly 800 yards. He's an up-and-comer, right? Disciple. Ella Dela Cruz is my favorite. He reminds me of Jackie Robinson. Like it. Like it. Let's take another look. Another Cowboys. Jake Ferguson's coming on, right? Kansas City. Kelsey. Baltimore. Two AFC championship game opponents, right? KC and Baltimore. Edwards. My point is the tight end has become one of the most important parts. Andy Reid would rather have a top flight tight end than wide receiver. That was apparent when he was even in Philly. You know why? It's a bigger mismatch because the linebacker position in the NFL today is not very deep. You're not going to run into teams that have great linebacking cores. You're just not. So the tight ends, get this. It's funny that the wide receivers get all the money, but the tight ends are more important. A tight end's more important in Kansas City than a wide receiver ever will be. They made that apparent when they moved off for Hill. I don't know how people don't look at that and go, you know, they kept Kelsey over Hill. And Hill is called one of the generational type players. Not in Kansas City, he wasn't. They moved him. They weren't moving Kelsey. Kelsey's going to retire at Kansas City Chief. He's going to retire Chief. And you still got, get this, you got people like A.J. Brown and Tyreek Hill bitching about Tennessee and Kansas City still to this day. I thought we'd get a tight end for this year's draft since Goddard can't stay healthy. Dude, you got to get more out of that position. You know what's crazy? Here, this is the sad part of this Goddard thing. The sad part of the Goddard conversation is this. He's a good player. Can't count on him. Feels, but his injuries are freaky. I don't give a shit. Are you in the starting lineup Sunday? Whether you get pulled over and they take you down for a suspended license or whether you get your forearm broken, are you there Sunday? Yes or no? And if you're not, I don't care what the excuse is. I don't care what the excuse is. How about this? You get kind of a good effort out of your tight end in Philly. Kansas City gets a great effort. Hall of Fame guy. Baltimore has a good one. That's going to be great to watch. Derrick Henry, Edwards, and Lamar Jackson. If he can't get it done this year, I'm not sure what else you need to add. Better O-line? Okay. Okay? Where did Brock Bowers land? I forgot. Where did he land? Where did he land? He landed with the Raiders, right? Good night. He landed with the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, right? Jesus. Who's throwing the ball to him? Gardner Minshew? Good night. What a waste of a deal that is. Oh. Needed to go to somebody that was going to be able to. Now, they need a quarterback. Now, if they get a quarterback in the building there, I'd like to see him. I bet you he still has a good year there. But look at this. Brock Bowers is taking the 13th pick in the draft, tight end. That position, to me, I'd rather have a top-flight tight end than a top-flight wideout. Like, who would you rather have on your team? A.J. Brown? Or George Kittle? Who'd you rather have? Who would you rather have? A.J. Brown or George Kittle? Why would you want Brown? He can't block in the run game. Not like Kittle can at the point of attack. San Francisco's run offense with Christian McCaffrey was part of why he was that guy. Kittle's the best tight end in football right now. Because I think Travis has walked back a little bit. You don't see these tight ends moved around a lot. There's a reason for that, especially the top guys. Wideouts get moved all the time. Okay? Wideouts get moved all the time. George Kittle's not going to get traded until he gets a little older. AJ's been already traded. Look at these numbers, too. It just shows you how crazy the numbers have gone with these. Here's the top 10 wide receivers in the National Football League. Jefferson, $35 million. That guy will never win a Super Bowl in Minnesota. I'm going to give you a little practice here. Let's just say A.J. Brown hasn't won one. He's been to one, so we'll put a little star there. Ahmad St. Brown. It's kind of young. He hasn't been to a Super Bowl. Tyreek Hill, $30 million. He didn't have this contract, but Tyreek gets the big star because he has won one. Okay. Jalen Waddle. Miami's not winning a Super Bowl. Devontae Adams is not winning a Super Bowl in Las Vegas. Kupp has won one. Devontae Smith, young, still ascending. I like what Yale said. Hasn't won one. Metcalf ain't winning a Super Bowl in Seattle. Debo has been the one. Of the top 10 highest paid guys, only 2 have won Super Bowls. Cup and Hill. Why am I paying that? Why am I paying that? Shit, you got 2 teams in here that have 2 guys in the top 10, Miami and Philadelphia. I'm going to make another point, but I'm going to put it all together here. Highest paid quarterbacks, top 10. Burrow, been the one. Lawrence, still early ascending, hasn't been the one. Golf, been the one. Herbert, it's not. It goes 55, the 2 of them, 53, now 52 and a half. Lamar, 52 million. Has not been the one. Jalen has been the one. Kyler Murray at 46-1. Hasn't been the one. Watson, 46. Hasn't been the one. Cousins, 45. Hasn't been the one. Mahomes has won 1. Excuse me, 3. And Allen has not won 1. So let me get this right. In the top 10, there's only 1 quarterback that's won a Super Bowl that's in the top 10 highest paid guys. And for wide receiver, there's only 2 guys that are in the top 10 highest paid wide receivers that have won 1. So 18 guys, the highest paid guys in the league. Only 4, 2 quarterbacks and 2 wideouts, have won Super Bowls. And most of them haven't been to the game. The point is, the National Football League is going to get to a point where you start doing this. Is it economically worth spending all this money and not getting the return on my investment when it comes to winning in the postseason? How about this one? Joe Burrow, winning record in the postseason, yes. Trevor Lawrence, I think he's 1-1. Push. Golf has a winning record. Herbert doesn't. Lamar doesn't. Hurts doesn't. Murray doesn't. Watson doesn't. Cousins doesn't. Mahomes, of course. Allen doesn't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 of the top 10 guys have losing records in the postseason and are the highest paid guys in the league. Has Jefferson been in the playoffs? I think he was. Oh, yeah, the Giants beat him. Okay. He's been to the playoffs once. Losing record. AJ's got a losing record. St. Brown has a winning record. Hill has a winning record because of Kansas City. Waddle doesn't. Adams doesn't. Kupp does. Smith doesn't. DK doesn't. Debo does. So, again, you spend all this money with no return on investment. Why? Michael Myers and Brock Bowers. So the Raiders running a double tight end set. That's what they'll do, disciple. They'll run a double tight end set. Think about this, Yale. You spend all that money And all these guys are under 500 in the postseason. And none of these guys have been to Super Bowls. What are you spending the money on it for? Because when people keep telling me that's the market, do you really keep going? Hey, so this goes to what those guys were talking about this morning. And again, with Dak Prescott, are you going to pay Dak 60? No. What? This guy, LJ, is the biggest asshole on the planet. The only reason they are getting paid is because of their numbers, not wins. But the numbers, you're only being paid on numbers that you put up. You're not winners. None of these guys are winners. It actually enhances my point. The more you put up in numbers, it has nothing to do with being a champion. So why are you paying it then? Why are you paying it? Quarterback and the lines are the priority. Yeah. So Dak Prescott is a priority to the Cowboys at $60 million, even though you lose O-linemen, running backs, edge rushers, because you got to pay the quarterback. The biggest equalizer in the NFL is the quarterback salaries and the wide receiver salaries today. It's why Kansas City, with their great quarterback, and other teams, why do you think you're moving off of these wide receivers today? Twiz goes, it's the cost of business. So what's that, Twiz? Losing? Losing? You're not a successful team. The more the Eagles have spent money on their offense, the more losing they've had since 22. Is that not a fact? Since they started spending more money at wide receiver and quarterback, they have started losing more. Massive losing streak last year. 1-7 down the stretch. Getting killed by the Bucs. And there's no coincidence that the quarterback at San Francisco, what was that stat that I saw about Purdy this coming up this year? Brock Purdy's going to make $900,000. He's going to make $900,000 this season. $900,000. The more they start playing the other players, the more the Niners won't have a chance to win. They'll start moving away from their once you start extending and playing and paying these guys, it moves you away from your window. Here, let's do this. You think you're as good a team as you were in 22 this year? They extend core group and want to build. They don't have a core group. How about this? Listen, the Eagles, once they started spending more money, they're moving further away from 22. They're not as good as they were then. How is Howie ahead of the curve? By loading up and spending all his money on O? The more you pay these quarterbacks and wideouts, the less chance you have of winning. Less chance you have of winning. Okay? Less chance you have of winning. Because you know what? It's all the teams. Once again, let me show you. Like LJ goes, it's one season. Well, is that the case? Joe Burrow's got a winning record in the postseason and been to a Super Bowl. There's only one quarterback in the top 10 that has won a Super Bowl. It's Mahomes, the highest paid quarterbacks. Most of them, Herbert, losing record. Jackson, losing record. Hurts, losing record. Kyler Murray, losing record. Watson, losing record. Cousins, losing record. Allen, losing record. You're paying them. This is a trend that the National Football League and the owners have to look at. Well, man, funny. The more we spend money on wideouts and quarterbacks, the less chance we have. Look at the Cowboys and the shape that they're in. You got to determine whether you're going to pay the quarterback or the wide receiver. I would never fucking pay that CeeDee Lamb that money. I'd move that guy in 10 seconds and wouldn't think twice about it and not even have a comment about it. I would move him for draft picks. I would move him. I'm not paying that money for a guy who, if I get rid of my quarterback, who I really don't like that much, in Dak, who am I having throwing the ball? Cooper Rush? Okay. It doesn't make sense, Sills. This is the downside of the NFL cap system. Owners and GMs will overpay, driving up the market because they know they can get out. Can I tell you, Bob, what it reminds me of? It's like overextending and leveraging debt. The more you pay in to these positions, it's a never-ending system that won't die. It gobbles you up. It's like a disease. Because teams feel, media feel, this guy's worth $32 million. If paying A.J. Brown $32 million versus the rest of my balance of my salary cap is not economically feasible. And secondly, it's not winnable. The reason that the Patriots are winning and the reason Kansas City's winning, obviously it's the quarterback play, but they have balanced salary caps. They don't overpay for anybody. Snead wanted more money. They jettisoned his ass. Stephon Gilmore wanted more money in New England. They jettisoned his ass. Randy Moss wanted more money. They kicked his ass out. Richard Seymour wanted more money. They blew his ass out. They don't subscribe. If you don't have balance in your – the Eagles have no balance in their cap. It's the worst in the league. They don't spend no money over there on the other side of the ball. The most money they spent on any player was Gardner Johnson. They just moved Hassan Reddick's salary into Bryce Huff's pocket. That's all they did. Why do baseball teams overpay players when it doesn't help them win rings? JM, great point. Let's take a look at that. I mean, do you think Manny Machado's winning the Padres a World Series anytime soon? Hey, has Bryce Harper won you one yet? Makes 36 million? Nolan Arenado, pay all that money? Now, Betts did get one. The COVID one. Sure, okay. Look at the Kansas City Royals right now. Well, the Kansas City, I wrote down the list here. I started putting my baseball stuff together because I was watching some baseball last night, and I was putting my baseball teams together. Look at the baseball teams here. Look at Baltimore. Okay? But Cleveland, they don't spend a ton of money. Atlanta never spends money. They spend money in starting pitching. Think about this for a second. Okay? They spend money only on starting pitching. When Freeman came up, when Soto came up, what did they do? They moved them. They have the same mentality that the Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Patriots have. They're not going to overpay for players. Defense, starting pitching. It's why Atlanta's always in it. It's why they're always in it. And the Yankees aren't anymore. You overpay, you don't play. Okay? And that's the ultimate team sport, is baseball. It's the hardest championship to win, is Major League Baseball's World Series. That's why the National League hasn't had a repeat National League champion since the 75-76 Reds. It's impossible to repeat in that sport. Think about that. There hasn't been a National League repeat team in over 35, 40 years. There's a reason for that. They don't spend a ton of money. So the money that we look at the Eagles spending all this money. We think, well, that's a great thing. I don't. I think it hurts your football team when you have all that money on one side of your ball. Hey, the cap was what this past season? Hey, Yale, or someone, what was the cap last year on what they had? And by the way, remember something. They do a great job with the cap. There's no doubt about it. But the cap is there for Howie, no one else. The owner still has to stroke the checks to the players. Okay? No matter how you look at it. The cap's there for one guy, Howie. It's not there for the players. Players don't give a shit about the salary cap. Actually, the players hate the franchise tag and the salary cap. Okay, think about this for a second here. One more time, okay? I mean, you've got one of the richest offenses I've ever seen. Wide receivers, $50 million. This is what the owner has to stroke out of his check. Checkbook, tight end, 15 or 65. Your left tackle, 15. That's 80. Your right guard, 20. There's 100. There's 100 million. Your right tackle, 18. There's 118 million. Your quarterback, 50. There's 168 million. Your running back, 10. That's 188 million bucks. Not even counting depth guys. You're spending almost $200 million just on $180 million on one side of the ball that owner has to come out of his checkbook. For what? And you spend nothing on the other side of the ball. Seals, how does Jerry Jones do it when it comes to his checkbook? Horrible. He has to jettison players like Tyron Smith, Mari Cooper. He's got to get rid of players constantly because he doesn't do the job that Howie's afforded and given because the cap is there for him. Nothing more, nothing else. But the owner still has to write those checks. Hey, just because it's cap friendly to Howie, that doesn't mean it's salary friendly to Lori. Isn't that funny? Well, hey, Jeffrey doesn't mind writing a check for $200 million for one side of the ball. Really? You don't think that owner gives a shit on writing a check for $200 million for his offense if they don't win and they get destroyed by the Bucs in the opening round, by Baker Mayfield? You think he doesn't care? He was so pissed off he bought a yacht. He went and bought a yacht. Everybody demanded that they fire Sirianni. Everybody wanted him to cut loose with the coach. Somebody gave a shit. You know why? Because the owner is writing checks his team's ass can't cash. You got a $200 million payroll on that side of the ball, and you don't win? What are you doing here? That's why when you see teams do it less, like Green Bay. Green Bay hey, how is this possible? Tell me this. So Green Bay got rid of a $58 million quarterback in Aaron Rodgers and a $20 million wide receiver and Devontae Adams, and they got better? And they got better? And the quarterback's on a rookie deal. That's cost efficient. Same thing Kansas City too, dude. What's the point of paying what's the point of going 14-3 getting bounced in the opening round and going 3-14. Nothing. Sills, owners don't really worry about ROI because they know the TV contract covers the player's salaries. Owners worry about the team valuation. This will come into play with the 18-game schedule. Well, I'll tell you what, Bob. It's a good point, and you're right, because the TV contracts do cover that. But don't you think the owners would rather have more of the pie of the TV deal? You see, the one thing you got to remember, Bob, it's not like the NHL. There's not a mandatory floor or a mandatory ceiling that you have to spend money. Okay? Well, there is kind of in the cap when it comes to NFL, but there's no floor. You don't have to spend a ton of money if you don't feel it. You could have players in there all on base salaries and all on minimum deals. There's no floor salary in the NFL. NHL, there's a floor that you have to pay to stay in kind of competition with the NHL Players Association. With the NFLPA, there's no floor. If you feel like having your football, like look at like I said, and I know the Chiefs, it's hard because Mahomes is the quarterback. Okay? They spend no money on wide receiver and running back. None. They spent $2 million last year on a running back. An entire room. In the entire room. You know what who was their wide receiver last year? Juju Smith-Schuster? I can't remember who the guy was. They spent nothing. That money goes into Clark Hunt's pocket. Get this. Patrick Mahomes is the 10th highest paid quarterback in the league right now. Do you know that? Let me see. I want to double check that. He's the 9th. Mahomes is the 9th highest paid guy at $45 million. Damn, dude. Justin Jefferson makes only $10 million more than the greatest player at that position potentially at quarterback. Kansas City don't spend that TV money. I'm sure that deal's going to get redone. But look at his deal. He signed that $500 million contract. What was it, 3 years ago? That thing looks stupid now. That thing looks totally stupid. NFL owners don't need a sale to sell their teams because it's all profit from the owners. Very little money for the players. Well, the TV money is going to help. Hey, Spin, let me show you something, what happens to Jeffrey Lurie. And because of what you guys have done to him and for him, this is one of the greatest things. Every January 9th, player or the team values go up 18%, between 18 and 24%. And because of gambling, the last couple of years, it's gone up even more because pretty soon Jeffrey Lurie is going to put a sports book at Lincoln Financial. As soon as the NFL figures out how to profit it, they're trying to talk about putting a sports book at Wrigley Field now. They're going to have a sports book at Lincoln Financial, which is going to grow, and Yale goes, I don't begrudge them. No, but when you're asking me, Yale, to build you a stadium that benefits only you, and you're taking it out onto taxpayers, and then you double dip me on PSLs and shit, I have a problem with that. Every single one of these owners come to you to have you build an equity thing for them, for their economic net wealth. And with that, when you Lincoln Financial, hey, the vet was not going to increase Jeffrey Lurie's net wealth. Lincoln Financial was. And you built it for him. You're right. Every January 9th, the wealth of the team goes up on your back, off your taxes, and off everything that you bring to that team. That's why when he raises ticket prices, he's double dipping you. Why do NFL teams raise ticket prices when you help build them a stadium? You built them the house, And then he charges you to visit the house 4 times what you paid for him to buy and build the house. And he gets completely all the benefits. Did you see that they got a brand new, retrofitting? I can't remember what team it is. $475 million for one of these teams. Why doesn't he pay for it? You get the money every year from the league. You get the TV money. You get revenue. How come we have to pay it? Tom Brady's right. Funny, during COVID, they used COVID as an excuse and cover for the cap to go down, not to pay the players. Their net wealth went up. Why did the owner's net wealth go up? Players had to pay, and the cap went down. Okay? Classic. Oh, you're right. Most of this money, you pay for these guys. They don't pay for it. That $200 million off. Hey, this is why I'm bringing this up to you. Bob, think of this. So you guys are paying $200 million for an offense. He ain't. Don't you expect more than 2 and 3? Don't you? What are you getting for it? Civic pride. Okay. Well, at least win more for me. That's why when fans like Philly, Buffalo, that's right, Yale. Yale goes, I'm having fun stroking those checks, baby. Yes, sir. Having fun. I love it, man. We're going to reset. $200 million offense. The more you keep paying into that thing, the less you're going to win. You're not the same team you were in 22. You think you are, you ain't. Okay. We'll see how this plays out. Your coordinators seem better. We'll see. You change that out again. Will your quarterback be better? We'll see. You got really good-looking talent on paper, like Lane said, and you've got massive question marks that we brought up. We shall see. There's more question marks today than there was 2 years ago. Do we agree with that at least? Right? All right. We're going to reset. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sil's National Football Show. How you doing? Please hit the like button. It is 4th of July week. Fireworks and food, one of my favorite things. Xander said something cool yesterday about his family, his mom and his sister. They're watching the Dallas Cowboy. I guess it's a Netflix series going on about the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. Some of you know the story. I've said it a couple years ago about Troy Aikman. He dated one of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, and that's a no-no. And I guess Xander's mom and his sisters are watching this thing, and they're like, oh, my God, I want to go to a Cowboy game. Look at that, the pomp and all the great circumstances around it. Look at the Cowboys. Wow, it's really a theatrical show. It is. It's like a Broadway show, the Cowboys. It's more important for the show than it is to actually show up. Jerry knows that now. He's not trying to win a Super Bowl anymore. He's got 3. He's got 3. He don't care anymore. Why would he care? Cheerleaders get treated awful. Well, so what was funny about Aikman dating that girl, and that piece of shit Skip Bayless wrote a story that with an innuendo that Aikman was gay because no one saw him with a girl. And the players on the team, I was happened to be there at the time, knew he was dating one of the girls, and he knew her from Oklahoma, where he's from. And so nobody ever saw Aikman with a girl. Skip kept asking the question because he was, I think, writing at the time for the Dallas Morning News. And he kept saying, how come Aikman is never around women? I've never seen him with a girl or anything like. And nobody said anything because everyone knew, and you're not supposed to date the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. So Bayless wrote a book with an innuendo that Aikman was gay. That's why Aikman never talks to him, has never been on Undisputed. When he was on Fox for all those years, he never, ever, ever was a guest. He never talks to him. And quite frankly, Bayless never brings up, and he's supposedly the biggest Dallas Cowboy lover and one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the Cowboys, completely has nothing and wants nothing to do with that guy because he wrote a book and made money off of a lie, calling him gay. And kind of a story behind the scenes when it comes to the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. Players aren't allowed around them. Okay? They're not allowed around them. That's a no-no. Troy was like the only guy that got away with that. But it was, and Jerry thought it was okay because he knew the girl from college, from OU, when she was at Oklahoma. That's where Troy started. He started at OU and then he transferred to UCLA. DFW says something here, and it's a great take there. Jerry's going to tear the whole team down if they don't get to at least the NFC Championship game this year. $100 million in cap space in 2025. DFW, I personally think that that's exactly the way that they're rolling, that they're going to tear this thing down. And that means if this may be the year, I think it's all going to be contingent on what they do when it comes to Dak Prescott. Chris says Jerry's running a plantation. How can you run a plantation when you're paying a quarterback $55 million? Hey, Chris, if that's a slave, can I be one? Please? If you're handing paychecks out at $35 to $50 million and you want to call me a slave, please? Please? Can I? Please? Please? Yell goes like this. That's life-altering money, life-changing money. Dude, it's generational money. Your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandkids won't have to worry about money. Thank God Aikman wasn't black. Isn't a black quarterback now on the team making $55 million? Highest paid player in the history of the Cowboys. I'm missing that. That stuff doesn't work any longer, race in the NFL. Not when you're making $35 million as a wide receiver and you're black. It don't work like that. It worked back in the day when you underpaid African-American athletes. That shit don't work anymore. Okay? That comment would have to go for every team. I mean, back in the day that lived. I agree. Doug Williams was a part of that. Today, come on now. Dallas is going to tear it down. Boy, if they tank this year, man, they're going to blow the whole thing up. Sills, I watched the video of your rant on Miami losing to K-State. Hey, Kyle, do me a favor, will you? Kyle, do me a favor. Tell people this, Kyle, because people think I'm a hater. Kyle, I love the University of Miami, don't I? Right? I love the University of Miami. How hard was I on the University of Miami in that rant? That, I don't know, I think 250,000 people watched it. That was on the flagship station of the Miami Hurricanes, WQAM in Miami. I did that on the afternoon drive show. How hard was I? Hey, William, me too, dude. Sills, the NFL runs you guys like slaves, but I'm going to pay you $25 million a year to play D tackle. Sign me up. Sign me up. Sills, you were blunt, honest, to the point. University of Miami, at the time with Al Golden, barred me from campus. And I'm one of the legendary players on that program under Jimmy. Barred me because I was speaking the truth. So some of you in here with your Eagles, hey, I would kick the shit out of my Hurricanes just as hard as I would kick the shit out of your Eagles. I'm an equal opportunity offender. So I don't pick and choose. I'll kick the shit out of all of you, and I'll praise you. Got me wrong, guys. Dude, I don't really care that much about the Eagles. I care a lot about the Hurricanes. And I go ruthless on them. To a point where Mario Cristobal sometime, there was a kid. I shouldn't say I don't care about, because I'm starting to care more about the Eagles. I am. There was a kid who wanted to transfer out of the University of Miami. You know what I said? Get the fuck out of here. You don't like it? Get out. We don't need people like that here. Hey, man, Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. I want people that want to be hurricanes. It ain't that easy being a hurricane. You just can't wear the U, call yourself a Miami Hurricane. You got to win. And I don't mean 9 wins. You got to win national championships. That's how you put a brick in the building. I don't want to hear people talking to me about doing this or that. I want you to put a brick in the building. Well, you know, I'm a hurricane. What have you done? What was your contribution to the program? And if you can't tell me anything significant, I don't care. Okay? Trade Dak for 2 1s, pay Parsons and Lamb. Offensive line, everybody else is for sale. You really want to move off of Dak? You know what he is. I think that's a really tough call there, man. But dude, here, I don't want to pay Parsons $38 million. And I don't want to pay CeeDee Lamb 40. Like, here's my, let me get that list of the top paid wideouts. Let me ask you this. Hey, we got Cowboy guys in here too. Sills, was Cortez Kennedy the only defensive player to win a defensive player of the year or on a losing team? I didn't realize that he had been on that Seattle team and they were a losing team. Guys that have won the NFL Defensive Player of the Year award have been Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Cortez Kennedy, Warren Sapp. I don't know if Hendricks did, but those players won the NFL Defensive Player of the Year award. I didn't know Cortez was on a losing Seattle team. Sills, the days of people earning shit so long gone. We live in a participation trophy world. I hate that world. God, I hate that world. Man, Bob, that comment right there pisses me off so bad that when I was younger doing broadcasting, I would go ape shit on that kind of stuff. I can't stand that. If you're not going to be the greatest at it, why do it? I can't stand second. Dude, I'm a horrible loser, Bob. I am such a bad loser. I refuse to shake hands with teams unless I knew you. I wasn't that guy talking. I just was horrible at it. Threw my helmet and shit. I just was not a very good loser. I've calmed down a little. Okay? I've calmed down a little. Silsey won it when the Seahawks were 2-14 and 92. Cow, I had no idea that was the case. Dan, my fellow Cowboy fans keep saying Michael Parsons is more valuable than that edge on the Browns. Come on. Hey, Dark Universe, Myles Garrett is so much better. And I mean, it's significantly better. Okay? He is so good. Barb says, Danny, I wish more players were more like that today. Truthfully. Hey, Barb, don't you agree that Brady was an old school guy playing in a modern day NFL, but he had that mentality where he was just, it didn't seem that Tom Brady, dude, he still doesn't shake Nick Foles' hand to this day, right? Hey, Dark Universe, Mike is a good player. And I'm sometimes very hard on him because here's what I'm going to do. If you're going to compare him to Lawrence Taylor, I'm going to be exceptionally hard on him. Like, hey, Dark Universe, the Cowboy fans, do you think that guy had the same impact in a football game as Charles Haley did? You think they had the same impact that Haley? Man, I don't. Like when I see Michael Parsons, do I see Charles Haley? I don't. Charles Haley was an impact football player. You You changed the power of the NFL. When he went from the 49ers to the Cowboys, how many people know how many Super Bowls Charles Haley has? Do you know? Charles Haley actually may have more Super Bowl wins than any defensive player in pro football history. Am I right when I say that? Charles Haley's got 3 in Dallas, 2 in San Francisco. He's got 5. 5 Super Bowls. And he was the determining factor and difference maker when he was on those football teams. Dallas went from a shitty defense to an historic defense. He's got 5 rings. Now, maybe somebody in New England has that. Okay? Haley was a game-changing player. When I look at Michael Parsons, I don't see game-changing player like that. I see a good one. That's right. Yeah. Haley's he's maybe one of the most underrated defensive football players and a championship football guy. And there's no coincidence. Wherever he went, they won titles. Myles Garrett goes against most teams' left tackles, which are the better tackles. Although they move Parsons around, which is cool, he predominantly plays against right tackles, and Lane has good days on him. I will take the guy that goes against the best offensive lineman and dominates, really. Yeah, Haley's still alive. I'll take Haley as a better football player than Brady all day. You got to define football player. Athletically, I wouldn't take Haley. Well, I'd take Haley over Brady. But then again, I would take Josh Elliott over Brady as an athlete. I mean, yeah. Okay. Here, let me say this to you about CD. Eagle fans and Cowboy fans. CeeDee Lamb wants $40 million a year. Or more than 35, what Jefferson's getting. Yes, Chris. Chris. At any time, Chris, if you're sitting in your locker and Charles Haley's in your locker, I would just make this suggestion. Don't have your back to the center of the locker room. You have to turn around and make sure you know when incoming's coming in. I don't know if any of you. Here's my impression of Charles Haley in an NFL locker room. Putting your socks on. Putting your cleats on. God forbid you put a shirt on, you hide your head. Oh, he'll switch you up too. He'll give you a double whammy sometimes. Like, hey, like you're praying. Oh. Oh my God. Yes, it's true. Seals, didn't Haley piss on an assistant coach's desk? No. Kyle. No. Yes. Kyle. Yes. Just so happens when Bill Walsh decided to hey, yeah. Yeah, well, you needed a crowbar someday. Hey, when they named George Seifert the head coach, Haley leaves the team Kevin Fagan told me this. He left the team meeting room, goes out in the coach's parking lot, jumps on his hood, and pisses on his hood of his car. It's a true story. Michael Carter told me that too. He said, yeah. He goes like this. He wouldn't do that to Michael Carter because Michael Carter's a little bit different of a dude, man. Was a little rough. I love Michael. We're dear friends to this day. Just lost his son too, man. Michael Carter's a silver medalist and won 3 Super Bowls. Played at SMU. Love Michael Carter. Seals, Dallas knows the deficiencies on both Dak, Parsons, and Lamb. The question they need to answer is which deficiencies can they win it all with? Winner stays. Losers get traded. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Yale goes, Haley was mental. Great. I want a mentally unstable guy that could play like that. You know how much fear that strikes into a guy? The guy's not sane. Oof. I love that. If you could bottle that up, I'll take 53 of them guys. Why do you think Coach Johnson was one of the only people that could control him? I'll take 53 of those guys. He was a mental superstar. Okay. You think Lawrence Taylor was normal? Lawrence Taylor's not normal. You do 3 8-balls, hang out with whores all night, you'd smoke a crack pipe, and you walk into the game the next day and you're blowing defenses up and you're getting 3 sacks a game and you're a game record. Then you go back right out after the game and you're back out in a crack house. I don't know. How would you coach that? Someone asked me one time, Stills, how would you coach that? Carefully. Carefully. He was playing high then. Absolutely. Hey, Forte, are you under some sort of misconception that there's not a dark side of the NFL? That all these guys are choir boys? I'll tell you one more time here, man. You don't win championships with choir boys. You win championships with people who will do whatever it takes, put their ass on the line. And sometimes these guys aren't who you want them to be. That's okay. You got to manage around that. One guy's a crackhead. That's not my responsibility to be your doctor and walk you home all night. You're a professional. Show up, do your job. I'll pay you. You don't get in trouble. You're not available. I'll fire you. This is professional sports. It's a profession like anything else. If you're a crackhead and you go home and you don't show up to your sales meeting the next day, you're going to get fired. If you're a crackhead, you show up at your office and you're the number one salesman, they're going to keep you employed. Hey, Johnny Do-Gooder, I'm not your keeper. That guy wants to do that in his life. That's his deal. I'm not his father. Didn't Dak's stats come from bad teams to build stats? What do you mean, like the Eagles? This dude said PCP. Lawrence Taylor smoked a crack pipe. Yes. Sills, could you imagine if the Eagles drafted TJ Watt instead of Derek Barnett in 17? Because your boy can't draft edge rushers. I used to sell crack on the block, posted like a mailbox. Hey, Bruce, I played with football players at the University of Miami that sold marijuana and did other things at night so that they could make a living for their families because they didn't have a lot of money. And they had one option, either sell money or either sell drugs or go home to poverty or make it in the NFL. I don't begrudge anybody with that. Everybody's got to do something to make a living, man. Good or bad. I don't judge you. I played with people who sold crack cocaine and sold marijuana at night. What do you want me to do? Not like them? It's not who I am. It's not who I am. Seals, do you think they should have been doing that? It's not my call. That's not for me. Jesus criminy. I don't judge people like that. No wonder. No wonder Eagle offense spiraled. Jalen Hurts in the offense thought they were good because they dominated the Eagles defense in practice. There is no one I know that's a squeaky clean anyway. Sills doesn't. Sills, I enjoyed the stories of Jerome Brown because I didn't get a chance to see him play because I was born in 95. You ain't Mark Holmes helping old women across the street. Actually, Bruce, I am. I'll stop at any time when I see an elderly person that needs a hand, walk them across the street. I've done it numerous times. I always get up when I'm sitting at on a train. If there's a woman or an elderly person, I'll always give my seat up to them. I think it's common courtesy. I would hope somebody would do that for my aunt. Okay, I could stand. I stand for you for 4 hours. I agree. I like that take, Jalen. Dallas always has a great tight end and a decent defense. One of my favorite players in the early 2000s was Roy Williams. Great player. Yeah, dude. Just so you know, man. Just so you know. Oh, no, I help people all the time across the street and such like that. I do. That's because I was raised by my grandparents. JM goes, you're standing? I stand for 4 hours because you guys give me the respect to come here each and every single day for 4 hours. Why wouldn't I stand? You think I take days off? You're damn right I stand. Dude, JM, do you come here and watch me every day? Don't I owe you that, my full undivided attention? It's called respect, dog. Bad for the heart standing still. Well, as Johnny Cash would say, yeah, you can die by being hit by a bus too. Okay. Actually, LJ, you owe me much more time standing. Really? The only thing that I owe you is sitting on the toilet. For you, LJ, right after this, I'm going to honor you when I go into my bathroom. And I'll let you know, I'm going to take a gigantic LJ. I'm glad that made you LJ, I got Hey man, you should be jealous. Mekhi Becton is an Eagle, man. I like that sign. It's one of my favorite ones. You seem like you were a bully in high school. Actually, I was the contrary. If I saw someone getting bullied, I'd beat the shit out of them. I don't like bullies. I only bully on a football field. I don't like bullies. I was never a bully. Absolutely never. I don't subscribe to that. I beat people up I can whoop. I don't beat the weak up. I think that's stupid. I'm not getting into a fight with somebody I can kick the shit out of. Why? So I can make my ego look better? Sill's wife way better at dude. Hey LJ, I should show you a picture of my do I have a picture of my you guys want to see a picture of my wife before I get into this CeeDee Lamb topic here? Oh my God, you got to do me a favor though. Don't ever show a picture. Don't ever tell my wife I showed a picture of her. My aunt's probably going like this. Oh God. She'll kill me. My wife's 55. Can't ever say that. Hey. Yeah, don't ever tell anybody. Maybe I got another one of her. Maybe I got another one. Oh my God, she would totally kill me. Showing you idiots my wife's picture. Oh my God, Cowboy fans. There's Big Sills with the Cowboys, 93. Going to practice. Ugh. Big Sills in practice with the Bucks. Getting ready for the game with the Lions. Bikini pic? Thanks, Yale. No, I'm not allowed to have those pictures of my wife. Bikini pics? No, I'm not allowed to have those. I'm not allowed to have those pictures. Yeah, those got taken away from me. He went in my phone and deleted them all. I'm not. I think she went in my phone and took all my pictures out of her. Yeah. That's my grandpa, the guy I talk about all the time. Yeah, she did. Oh, here's a good picture. Here's Big Sills and Jerome on the getting ready to go in a timeout or an exchange. There's JB and me sitting on the bench, getting ready to go in. Fun time with that dude. Oh, here's another Cowboy. Hey, Cowboy guys. Big Sills is finding him today against the Chargers. Yeah, no pictures of Kim, man. I'm probably going to get killed on that one. Somebody will say something to her. Maybe got Rome to throw up to you. How's that? Jim Rome throwing up to you. Good stuff here. Good stuff. Yeah, I'll put a bikini pic in my profile one day. Yeah. Good job, Barb. What number did you have in Dallas? 93. I wear number 93 in Dallas. My husband is a big Brown Cowboy fan. Looks good in tidy whities. I don't wear underwear anymore. All right. Hey, before I take a time out here, probably just gave you more information than all you wanted. Hopefully you're not eating dinner. Says, how good is Jack Sauer, edge rusher from Ohio State? I think he's really good. I do. I think he's really good. Would you take CeeDee Lamb over Deebo Samuel? Probably. Right? Probably. Would you take CeeDee Lamb over DK Metcalf? I don't think so. I don't think so. I like DK Metcalf. You know, I don't think so. Would you take CeeDee Lamb over Devontae Smith? Now, I'm partial to this. So, hey, Dallas, I like Devontae a lot. Okay? I do. Would you take CeeDee Lamb over Cooper Kupp? Probably. Would you take CeeDee Lamb over Devontae Adams? No way. Would you take CeeDee Lamb over Jalen Waddle? Probably. Would you take Lamb over Tyreek Hill? No. Would you take CeeDee Lamb over Amon-Ra St. Brown? Probably. Would you take Lamb over AJ? No way. And would you take him over Jefferson? No way. So is he top 10? Probably. Is he the best? No. Get this. If you're not the best wide receiver, why would I pay you the most? And the reasoning for many people is because he's next up. That's not a reason for me to pay you top dollar. All right, guys. Hit the like button, please. You guys have been great today. 4th of July week. Spectacular stuff. I so appreciate you guys coming here during this week. I know it's a huge travel week. I know a lot of people are traveling and such. And so we so appreciate it. Please hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Somebody just sent me this here. Here are the current home win streaks in college football. You know, we're 3 Sundays out from college football starting. It's pretty good, man. So Georgia's got the most right now, 25-game home win streak. Michigan at the Big House is second with 22. Washington, the Huskies, are third with 14. LSU is fourth with 10. FSU is fifth with 9. Oregon is sixth with 8. Texas, OU, and Ole Miss are tied at 7 with 7 consecutive home wins. You know what the record is? Do you guys know what the record is? So right now, Georgia has 25 consecutive games won at home. Do you guys have an idea what the record is? For the most games won at home, college football history. Now, you have an idea who? You have an idea how many it is? 71, Sills. No. Jason, right team, wrong number. Dark Universe, wrong number. Kyle, University of Miami won 58 consecutive home games, which we were part of course. Okay? Have a good one, Maniac. So that means this. Most of the time you play 6 home games, right? A year. So basically, for 10 years, Miami didn't lose a game at home for a full decade. George, you got about another 5 years ago, bro. I might be 80 years old by the time you break that record. We went a full decade without losing at the Orange Bowl. Notre Dame, LSU, Penn State, Florida State, Gators, Tennessee. Didn't matter. You got down there, get your ass handed to you. I think Bama had a long one for a bit. FSU, I think, has the second longest. I think it's at 56. Then Miami went up there and beat them. Made sure they didn't get that 58. Hey, man, JM, thank you so much, man. I so appreciate it. You guys were great. Can't thank you guys enough during this holiday week for coming aboard. Please hit the like button. God bless all of you guys. So many options out there, and you guys choose us here at JAKIB, and we thank you again. Joe Zander, thank you. 2 to 6 tomorrow, and we'll see you on the flip side.